calm down. The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah. Let's go. The weekend's almost here. And the snow just won't stop coming. What the hell's going on here? It's Reese on the radio, live right here on WTIC News Talk 1080. Scallywags, nutmeggers, haters, conversationalists, all of you, lend me your ear. I'm done with the snow. I am done with it. Yeah. Roseanne's crazy about it. Can't wait for more of it. Yes, winter wonderland. Christmas is over. Let's get to the business of just being frigid, cold, and annoying. I don't need more and more snow, but I got to give it. Listen, let me give it to every municipality that I've seen so far who have been right on it, even on Sunday mornings, getting the roads clear. 2 years ago, Buffalo couldn't get it right. Connecticut, I'm talking about when I'm out there. We saw one where like it was one plow after another plow after another plow after another plow. They look like synchronized swimmers on 84 going down the road, shoveling everything. And it was Sunday. We were on our way down to Wegmans in Norwalk, and they were clear. It was crazy. I was saying to myself, damn, on a Sunday, they had those city workers and state workers out there on the roads. Please, I applaud you. That part I am not worried about. It's just, I'll tell you what I'm really, really annoyed about. Weather folks. Weather people. Now we've got a name for the winter storm. What's this one called? Benjamin? Bartholomew? What's the name of this one? Huh? You know what? I got a name for it. Pain in the ass. That's what I call this one. That's what I'm calling this winter storm. Winter storm, pain in the ass. That's what it's going to be. That's what it is. I know it's Benjamin. I'm positive it's Benjamin. You think it's something else? Bertha? And I know it's something with a B. Roseanne's looking it up right now. She's going to join in a second. But I know there's a name for it. Somebody will tell me in the chat room. You don't see it. Okay. So much for that iPhone you have, huh? Oh, you have no service? There it is. Fern? That's even worse. Fern? What a name. Are you sure it's not Benjamin? It's an old one. Anyway, are you sure? Fern? Is it called Winter Storm Fern? That's what they're calling it? Goodness gracious. Everything's got to have a name. Do you know any ferns? Have you ever met a fern? I've never met a fern. Fern Gully. Anyway, by the way, we've got Betsy McCaughey coming into the show. Less than an hour, she'll be here to talk about her run for governor here in the state of Connecticut after being the lieutenant governor in New York. It's an interesting, venture. In her case, she's got a storied history. She obviously does not have to do this, but here she is. We'll ask her all the pertinent questions that many of you might have, and maybe some you don't. But we'll sit here for an hour with her, get to know her a little bit. She and I have never really met. I know of her career, and we'll do that. Before I even get to the opening monologue, I would like to send a message to some people who are interested in being on the program. And this isn't, I don't want to say any names. This isn't about throwing anybody under the bus or embarrassing anybody. I think this is important to know, because I know a lot of people don't know me or this show. We are growing. We're new. I've filled in here for 3 years, and people are just really getting to know Reese on the radio. So every day it's a reintroduction. All right, and I applaud you who have been sticking it out with me for years, but some of you very new to the show. And knowing that more and more people are listening, because we see that in the numbers, I want to make this abundantly clear to people who are interested in being guests on the show. If you reach out to me, Reese on the radio, or my producer, Roland, however you get his contact number, that man is as incognito and hidden as possible. Incognito, as we say. He is very private, how people are getting his number. Stop giving people his number. Don't do it. Maybe you can have his email address if you ask around, but do not call him. Do not. Nothing against him. He is my producer. Normally you would contact him, but I'm going to tell you, do not put him in the fray. Now, to those of you who are new to the show, who wish to be guests on the show, I appreciate your interest in being on the program, but there is some criteria here. The first criteria is I have to care. I'm sorry, but that's just true. I don't want to have a conversation with a person I'm not interested in. This will bore the pants off my listeners, of me, and it will not serve the guest that you wish to have on the show. You will know that if you listen to the show. If you are someone who pays attention to the show, you will know, hey, my guest, my person, whomever it is, or even you who are trying to promote yourself, you know what? That guy Reese, I like his show. I like the way he thinks. I think I would be something or a person that he would be interested in. Okay, that works. Because with that knowledge, your introduction to me or Roland, however you get his number or his info, will always show up in your email. You might say something along these lines. Hey, Roland, we are big fans of you and Reese on the radio. We listen every chance we get. Sometimes we go back and check the archives. Such and such is our client, and we believe they would have a great time with Reese on the program. Here's some material on our guest, a bio, and some of the other interviews they've done. Please let us know if you might be interested. That's the way I would approach it, as I have with other guests, when I reach out to them to have them on the show. Now, that being said, here's what you don't do. Never give the impression that your guest would be a hoot on this program. How do you know? They may come here with their charismatic ways that you've been comfortable with every chance you get, patting them on the rump, telling them good job. And then they get here and it's the worst interview ever. The person gets here and I start doing my research and I find out that this person is an absolute fraud. And then the interview goes south. Why? Because you haven't done your research, knowing damn well or not knowing that I will. And all I want is the individual to come here and have a good time. Every guest that has ever been here has said the same thing when they did. They walked out and said, damn, man, this was fun. Even people who were shy to be on the air. On the show, if you remember the young woman, Jennifer, who was I think she was the president of a local bank here in Connecticut, she was afraid to be on the air. She got on the air. She spent about 20 minutes with me, and by the time it was over, she got the bug. Wow, I can't wait to do this again. This was so fun. And that is conveyed by people who have watched the show, then have an interest in being on it. So, with that, please try again. Also, another good note. I would like to applaud somebody who's been a guest on the show recently. His name is George Austin. You remember, he was here on the show. Name used to be George Lopez. Found out that didn't fit really well in Republican politics. I know that's not the real reason, but I'm having fun. Anyway, George Austin, you know what he did? He did the thing that matters. He had been trying to get in touch with the show for the longest, but I knew nothing about him. You know what he did? He showed up at the holiday store at the Avon Old Farms and introduced himself to me, shook my hand, and said, hey, yeah, I've been trying to get on your show for a long time. And true, a lot of people have tried to get on the show, but I didn't really have any interest. But he came down, met me, talked to me, took the pilgrimage to come and meet me, introduce himself, had a conversation with me, and I said, you know what? I like this guy. I'll bring him on. He made the effort. So just sending a one-sentence email to Roland or myself about how great your person is going to be on the show doesn't sound like you listen to this show. We want people who at least have an interest in it, who know who we are and what we do and what we care about, and whether or not your person, no matter what stripe, whether they're Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whack job, we don't care. If you know the show, you know whether or not they'll be good. And you won't be promoting how fantastic they'll be adding to this show. That means you don't know anything about this show. So, in the future, think ahead. All right? With that, I've got 6 minutes to do my opening monologue. It's real simple. There's a lot of money coming into Connecticut for 165 to 250,000 illegals that are living in the state. There are tens of millions of dollars that are coming into the state of Connecticut, into NGOs that, oddly enough, get a lot of federal grant money or have received tens of millions of dollars in federal grant money, all servicing the same areas to zero results. What have I found out? Well, it's interesting what I found out. Imagine one organization getting $20 million from federal grants to serve 250,000 people who are illegal in the state of Connecticut and only managing to get status, legal status that is, for 4,000 in the past 5 years. Where has all the money gone that they keep getting tens of millions of dollars thereafter? Oh, wait a minute. On top of that, what else do I find out? That the last time around, the state of Connecticut also gave to illegals in the state of Connecticut $1.3 billion. 600 million of it went to education from K through 12. Again, for... wait for it. Only 132,000 illegals in the state. There is so much money coming into the state. And, wait, overlapping NGOs. We have a list of 6 right here in the state that get millions and millions and millions of dollars covering the same regions. That means they're double dipping for help for illegals in the same towns. So if I'm one guy and I get $10 million to cover 6 counties or 6 regions, I've got Hartford, I've got New Haven, I've got Bridgeport, I've got Waterbury. And then another NGO has got Bridgeport and New Haven. And another NGO has got Hartford. The point is that there's a whole bunch of NGOs that are getting federal grant money, millions of dollars, to, again, service about 250,000 illegals at best. Millions and millions of dollars, and they have 0 success rate. And then the state government puts on another $1.3 billion. What's going on? The reason why you see all of these protests going on and none going on during the Obama administration is, again, Obama was not messing with the funds that were going into the state of Connecticut. There was no stoppage. Today, let me find this story. I just saw this. Richard Blumenthal, Dickie, baby. We may have to have a talk, homie. We may have to have you on. I know I've got problems with DQuat, but I've got to understand, buddy, what's going on here? So it looks like Senator Richard Blumenthal has a problem with an NBC report that came out based upon a leaked memo. The leaked memo says that ICE is quietly greenlighting forced home entries without judge-signed warrants, according to a 2025 memo. Somebody leaked it in Washington. But guess what? It turns out this isn't a new memo. The Obama administration was doing this back in 2016. And guess who wasn't one of the Democrats screaming about ICE agents going into homes? That's right, folks. Dickie Blumenthal. Not a word. Even Hillary Clinton pushed back on it when she ran for president. Even Hillary Clinton. Even Bernie Sanders pushed back on it back in 2016 when he was running. Martin O'Malley from Maryland also pushed back on it. But prominent Democrats from Connecticut? Nada. Zero. Zilch. It's not an old practice for ICE agents to go into homes. Obama made a cottage industry out of it. Yes, he did. We found that very, very odd. When we come back, I am going to lay out for you all the millions of dollars and all of the NGOs. And I'm talking about millions of dollars that have increased since 2021 to NGOs right here in Hartford and the 6 towns that they cover and the other NGOs that cover other towns. And millions of dollars are being poured in for these illegals. And like I said to you yesterday, nobody is protesting on the merits. They are protesting for money. That's the reason why you see the hypocrisy. Why didn't they do this during Obama? No money at stake. Paid protesters, even the elected officials. We'll be back. It's Reese on the Radio.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
All right, we're back. Reese on the Radio right here live. NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. I didn't know whether or not you heard me. Just making sure that you did. Roseanne is here. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to her.
Hello, her.
I got to fix your camera. I always have to. There you go. Perfect. You're good. Right there. Anyway, let me finish this info here because I saw you in the background sort of reacting to my opening monologue about this. Let me run down some of the numbers of these institutes and organizations, these NGOs here in Connecticut. If you're just joining us, we're talking about some of the protests and other organizations that are out there rabble-rousing, ICE agents, screaming, hollering, and moaning about illegals leaving the country or being deported from the country. Due process, need a warrant, all the other stuff. They sound like a bunch of parakeets. And as I've come to realize, all of this information is coming out online. If you go to X, you go to Facebook, you go to any social media, you'll see the hypocrisy in everything. They quote Bill Clinton, they quote Barack Obama, they quote Hillary Clinton, talking about getting rid of the worst of the worst. If you've overstayed your visa, you gotta go. If you've had an order to deport, you gotta go. Sounding very much like Trump, and people are asking, but wait a minute, don't these people know what they said before? Yes, but they don't care. Today, they are paid, and they are paid well. These NGOs are paid well. Think about this, folks, okay? They said that the number of adult illegals in the state of Connecticut is about 165,000. What's the number you have there? You can read it.
150,000
okay, yeah,
as of June of 2025.
Okay, so they're saying that number fluctuates because I went to like several sources. According to what I have, there's like Hartford Current has one, the Yankee Institute has another, And other organizations that are even pro illegal immigrations, they sort of scale it down to like 100,000. So let's use your number. Okay, let's use your middle ground, 150,000. Do they say adults or do they say overall?
It says, where'd it go? Connecticut Insider, June 2025, ranges 113 to 150,000 based on major organizations.
Okay. Turns out that number is flawed because they're not counting immigrant children.
Well, it says here that there's 225,000, including U.S.-born children.
There you go.
2 undocumented parents. So
okay.
If they're born here, the children aren't illegal. The parents are. So
good point. But remember, if the parents are illegal, they are caring for their now natural-born citizen kids.
Right.
So
the kid is entitled to welfare, but mom is not.
That is very true. But you can't really give a kid welfare.
Right.
You know, whether you like it or not, you can't. You got to give it to the parent. So this suggestion that parents are not getting welfare programs because they're not eligible was all bubkiss anyway.
Right. Minnesota proved that.
Yeah, Minnesota, exactly. So we know that that's nonsense and it's a lie. So anyway, we move on. But the bottom line is that, like it or not, illegals in this state are generally getting a hell of a lot of money through the NGOs in order to assist them. But what are they assisting them in doing? Let's get to the first. According to Connecticut Institute for Refugees and Immigrants, called CIRI, C-I-R-I, the statewide heavyweight largest budget was $10 million. That's up from $6 million in 2023, 6.9 in 2022.
So this was a 2024 number?
The 2024 number is $10 million. Then there's Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services. This is IRIS. They run out of New Haven. Their expenses have exploded. Now, remember, they are not the big guys. They're the second tier. They're considered a smaller group. But in 2021, they received $4 million. In 2022, $8 million. In 2023, $12 to $15 million. They're already getting more money than the largest NGO in the state, which, by the way, as I said earlier, the CIRI, Connecticut Institute for Refugees and Immigrants, they cover 6 regions. Those include Bridgeport, New Haven, Hartford, Waterbury, and one other, which I will find.
So what did IRIS get in 2024?
IRIS got in 2024, because that's what we're up to, that one ballooned to, actually stayed at $20 million from 20.5 in 23. No, I apologize. Forgive me. 12 to 15 in 23, ballooned to $20 million in 24.
Okay.
All right. So which is double the largest NGO, which covers 6 regions.
So we're looking at $30 million right now.
In one, they cover New Haven.
This is just 1 year, $30 million.
In $20 million. In New Haven.
Between the two.
Oh, yes, between the two.
In 1 year, $30 million just for illegals.
That's correct. Okay. Catholic Charities, Migration, Refugee, Immigration Services, multiple Connecticut dioceses. I guess you would say diocese. Thank you. I hate the pronunciation of that. Harder to pin exactly what they got, but they hit recent losses of about $600,000, which means they're not getting any grant money because they're giving it to the Hispanic NGOs. And then we get to the Connecticut Legal Services Fund. It's a statewide office with immigration units. They say they got as little as $50,000 in segments.
Wow. Okay.
Now, this is interesting because it turns out that the legitimate organizations
are getting nothing.
And Catholic Archdiocese, or diocese for that matter, and the Connecticut Legal Services, just tens of thousands of dollars.
And these are established government agencies that have been in existence, I'm assuming, for more than 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting pennies while these, oh, God, I really want to know who is the person running these charities. I have a very strong suspicion as to demographic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I will I will research that and let you know what I find out.
Not a problem. Do you want to know who some of the politicians are who have been championing these organizations? Well, let's start with
Murphy.
No, let's start with the big dog.
Okay.
Governor Ned Lamont. He is the closest by far. He personally visited CIRI's Bridgeport office in March of last year to sign a bill pumping $2.8 million in emergency state funds into the groups hit by Trump-era cuts. Nearly $500,000 went straight to CIRI. He touted its smart investment while posing for pictures there. Flip-flop from an initial veto after urgency from allies, but made it happen outside the budget. Siri honored him with a Strength in Leadership Award. Yes?
So, Trump cuts funding to things like SNAP for illegals because they're not supposed to be getting benefits anyway. And Lamont says,
here's $2.8 million.
Here. And it's not even like he gave it to, like, Helping Hands or Friendly Hands or the Connecticut Food Share. He gave it to this non-governmental organization that has how much oversight?
And again, what is this for? What does Lamont have to take a trip down to Bridgeport for? Right. In fact, Lamont doesn't even care about Bridgeport.
What's in Bridgeport?
And when I say doesn't care about Bridgeport, it's a solid blue city. He doesn't need it, but he's got to get the vote out, and he knows it. So does everybody else.
He's got to buy the vote.
That's essentially what they all do.
Right.
Okay, let's go. We're moving on. U.S. Senator Richard Blumenthal, longtime cheerleader, celebrated a $900,000 federal DOJ grant that they got for anti-trafficking work back in 2022. Sent glowing messages to their 2024 gala, calling himself a tireless advocate. Praised CIRI during their name change announcement. Joined Lamont at events and gets name dropped in their press as a reliable voice for refugees and immigrants. Now, I'll admit, Blumenthal is a progressive. He loves himself some progressive ideas and, of course, legal immigration, which goes to my earlier comments about him screaming and hollering about the fact that ICE is going into people's houses. What he failed to mention in his consternation of said efforts is that these people have an order to leave, to get out, to be deported.
Right. We haven't even begun to talk about this due process aspect and the warrants that's a whole. So just so I understand, Lamont was a verbal and physical presence in support of this organization, which is giving money to people that we don't know. We don't even know how it's being used.
Exactly.
But it's going, and he's connected to them.
To their tireless efforts. Senator Murphy, which you did mention, I didn't want to jump ahead, heavy on the federal side. He met with immigration advocates in context tied to CIRI's post-border trips in 2023. Co-introduced bills in 2025 to authorize community-based resettlement to counter Trump's cuts impacting organizations like them. His office releases often loop in Connecticut's refugee groups, including praise for their work with Ukrainians and Afghans. That's another story. We'll get into that another time. And, of course, our good friend and purveyor of weird child pornography in kids' school libraries, Senator Bob Duff, out of Norwalk. He is also he is the key legislative muscle. He co-issued statements defending the 2025 nonprofit funding package that benefited CIRI, tagged in Lamont's socials at the Bridgeport event. Primary sponsor and leader on bills routing money their way. And then, of course, we've got Senate President Pro Tem Martin Looney, as well as Lieutenant Governor Susan Bicewicz, to name a few. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll read you a little bit more of this. It looks like Betsy McCaughey is in the building. I'll go out and say hello to her before we get her on. Stand by. It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
It's Reese on the radio on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio right here live on NewsTalk 1080 WTIC. Roseanne is here. Betsy McCaughey is here. She is in the waiting room. She'll be here in a moment. We'll talk to her for about an hour and ask her about why she's running, why she thinks it's important. It can't just be about her issues with Lamont, but we'll get to all of the bottom of that when she is here. Lori's in the chat room. She says, NGOs hide all the federal funds they redistribute to illegals. Yeah, also, the worst part about this, Roseanne, in my view, is there's no, like, they use money to get illegals legal status.
Allegedly.
No. They actually do, and it's documented that they do.
Like 4?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yes, the number is as bad as you would think. So, like all of the organizations combined, we're talking about getting legal status in about 5 years, maybe for 4,000. You have almost over 150,000 people in there, and that's your success rate. You get lawyers for these people, but you have no real success rate when it comes to, because that's what you should be working on. If you know who these people are, if the federal government is supplying you with funds and the state government is coming down there touting all of your good work, you at least would be handling the one problem that many people have with these people, their legal status to be here, right? And that's not being done.
And okay, so now I'm thinking about this in comparison to how the Salvation Army, the Marshall House works, right?
Beautiful.
Everything is under one roof.
Mm-hmm.
We all live, lottie-dottie, everybody in one spot. We come downstairs. We schedule our appointments to see this person for this issue, this person for this issue. Everything is right there, right? These folks can be in and out of Marshall House within a year, less sometimes.
Oh, far less.
Having had all of their needs met, having legal barricades adjusted, and into homes, and almost never coming, like their success rate is like 98%, right? And they get no money. Like we do all of our, like they get their money from donations. These people are getting millions.
That's a good point that you just brought up. The Marshall House has a 95, to be exact, 95% success rate, right? And what they mean by their success rate is that they don't have, for lack of a better word, recidivism. They don't have people returning to the Salvation Army at record numbers, right? The reason why it's 95 and not 100, because some people do end up having to come back. They make that very clear. But versus the people who successfully transition out of Marshall House, 95% are out of there. And here's
with zero government funding.
And let me go crazy. Let me go crazy here. We just did our annual holiday store with them. Do you know what they're touting? Over $300,000 in your donation right here in Connecticut.
From Connecticut.
And for them, they consider that a success, and it's going to several organizations inside, you know, Salvation Army, from human trafficking, exactly, to their camps, to their early child care centers, to the Marshall House. It's like and all of that money they are grateful for. They do this. And sure, do they get donations year round? Absolutely. But as I said to Richard Blumenthal when he came on the show when we were doing the holiday store at Homeward Suites, I said to him, why isn't government, even here in the state of Connecticut, why are we not looking at the model of Salvation Army? I would be dragging Debbie from Salvation Army into City Hall and saying, hey, Debbie, how do you do it? Like, how do you guys do it? I know that you're on a limited scale, but please teach us how to do it so that we can do it just as good as you. And that would be a million times better than the garbage that we're seeing now. Because, again, and I know the reason for it is that we learned today. I think we just did this story, or we were talking about the story yesterday. The woman who was just arrested by the feds for the Black Lives Matter, the woman who just got arrested by Pam Bondi.
Right.
Thank God. Christy Noem, great picture, by the way. The Black Lives Matter former head or former NAACP head who just got arrested for trespassing in that church in Minnesota. And that woman was making more money than she was taking in as a yearly salary.
Right.
making over $150,000 one year by only pulling in $108,000.
Well, she was averaging. Well, that's just her salary. That's not even including the $40,000 to $50,000 a year that she was getting for health benefit compensation.
Yeah.
On top of her salary, so they'd get $185,000 in
donations,
government money.
Oh, government grants.
And her annual salary was $250,000 plus $50,000 for health compensation. So all in all, $300,000, which she's pulling in $187,000 from I'm sorry, not government funding, but from donations. I will tell you this: I hope that this arrest of her today pulls a thread that gets into all of that money. But anyway, we got to take a break. Betsy McCaughey is here. We're going to talk to her in a bit about, of course, all of this corruption, why she's running, why now, why it's important, how she thinks she'll fare against folks like Ryan Fazio and Aaron Stewart, who are running. So we'll get to all of that in a little bit, so stand by. We've got news coming up. John Silva has got WTIC news at the top of the hour. We'll be back after all of that, so stand by. Be good to each other, and we'll be back. Bye.
Reese on the radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC, News Talk 1080.
I just realized I'm putting you on camera, so you look good, and I'm off the camera here. Betsy McCaughey. I have to fix my own camera here. What the heck's going on? Ladies and gentlemen, in the house, a powerhouse of New York politics, Betsy McCaughey is here. Now, I've got to admit, every time I look at your name, I just go, that doesn't spell McCoy.
It's the real McCoy.
I know, it's the real McCoy. I like that. I like that. You Irish, right?
Scotch-Irish.
Scotch-Irish. Ooh, boy. That's feisty. Which, of course, goes to your nature. You are a very, very feisty politician.
But a sweetheart.
I think you are. I think you're very engaging, and I would say in many ways, you have a soft side, I think, in your approach, and you always do it with a smile.
I'm a grandmother of 6.
Okay,
so
is that what it is?
I definitely have a soft side.
Okay.
My youngest is only 12 weeks old.
Oh, that's
Don't
right.
get me started.
No, it's okay, because I remember you were supposed to be down here, and all the family was coming in. Was the 12-week-old coming?
Yes.
Was that your first meeting with the youngest?
Well, he lives right next door to me.
What?
I'm very fortunate. My youngest 2 grandbabies live right next door, and that's a little bit of why I'm running this race, because I want to keep them there. And Connecticut is now the loser state, 48th out of 50 in economic growth.
Yeah.
How can you condemn your children and grandchildren to grow up in a place with so few opportunities?
Yeah, you're 100%.
You don't want them to have to move to South Carolina to get a job.
There are a lot of people who are. Look, Roseanne and I just moved here, of course, because we just started in June on WTIC as the afternoon host. I've loved this place since I lived in New York. As you heard behind the scenes, I'm from Queens. We always considered Connecticut the brass ring, right?
Yes,
you make it in
is.
New York and you move up to Connecticut. That's where you live out your beautiful years.
Yes.
Not your golden years, your beautiful years.
I
I
agree.
made it. I bought a house. Hey, look, the leaves are falling.
Yes.
You know, it's like, it's beautiful. It's just that place. It was, in essence, it was always that place that you dreamed that you were going to move on. Buying a house in Connecticut, white picket fence said Connecticut.
Yes.
When I was growing up. So you being lieutenant governor in New York under Pataki.
Yes, with Pataki.
Sorry. I apologize. I have to, you know what I meant.
I'm
When I
just
say
kidding you.
you're as lieutenant governor. But
Yes.
anyway, with Pataki, you understood what was important to New Yorkers. Of course, Pataki was very much a fiscally responsible Republican in New York. In fact, he was a long shot.
And we brought prosperity back to that state.
Sure did. And then I don't know what could have possibly happened, but I almost feel like, what was it, Spitzer who ruined it all? It was client number 9. Yes.
That's right.
He kind of ruined it. I've got
That
a look.
started the rapid
The spiral.
death spiral.
Oh, and it hasn't recovered since,
But,
because it just gets
The fact
worse.
is, Connecticut's in a death spiral, too. I hate to say that. It breaks my heart. When I grew up in Milford and in Westport, my dad was a factory worker. He worked at the W.E. Bassett nail clipper factory in Derby. Unfortunately now purchased by the Chinese. But,
Wow.
that's where he worked. And, I grew up, we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
But back then, Connecticut was the opportunity state.
It was.
I'll never forget. I went through the public schools there. It gave me everything I needed to launch a wonderful life. And I tell you, Reese, the day my dad put that Vassar decal on the back of his old blue Dodge Dart and drove me to college was the biggest day of his life.
I can imagine.
The tears rolled down his face.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. That's what Connecticut meant back then. But now everybody's leaving because 48th in economic growth, 47th in tax competitiveness. Even Chief Executive Magazine just ranked Connecticut 44th, near rock bottom, in best place to do business. Who wants to be down there in the basement when these other states are offering jobs and opportunity?
It's ranked very low on places to raise a family. What's also scary about that is, and this is what I bring up to every person who's ever walked in here. We had McCaughey on yesterday and Aaron the week before. I said the same thing, and I keep reiterating it. If you want to understand Ned Lamont, when you know your state is ranked some of the lowest of lows on where to raise a family, and that's the guy who in 2022 did what I can only call an ad that suggested businesses come to the state because of Roe v. Wade, that your values of aborting your child is the reason why you should come to Connecticut, is exactly the problem with this guy and why he's got to go.
That's right. He's got a mouthful of silver spoons. Pardon me for saying it.
I've got to ask you probably the toughest question there is, though. You're older than Ned Lamont. This is a young person's game, and I got to ask.
I'm not going to make age
I know you're not
in this campaign. I am not going to hold my opponents, rivals, youth and inexperience against them.
I'm going to applaud you for bringing back old Ronald Reagan. I'm going to give you props for that. Now, I'm a big student of Reagan, so brilliantly done. But it is going to be a question. But I think, listen, I'm looking at you. I think you're way more vibrant.
See how much I accomplish. I don't think it's going to be an issue for me because I've been drafted into this race. You know, Reese, I didn't need another job.
That's true. You got plenty.
I got plenty. I got drafted into this race because so many people in Connecticut are desperate for a battle-tested fighter who can win this race against Lamont. I would never say anything negative about my rivals because they're fine people.
Right.
But who in this race has won a race against a governor aspiring for a third term? Who in this race has a national reputation in major policy issues important to Connecticut? Fiscal policy, housing, health care, right? I am ready to take on Ned Lamont and beat him badly.
You got a ground game here yet?
Well, the first ground game is getting into the race, which was last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
But I am already being overwhelmed with people saying, I want to help, I want to help, I want to sign up. Please come to Betsy, 2026.com.
Yes, we're going to get to that.
2026.com.
What was, other than the fact that this is your home, other than the fact that the state means so much to you, was there any, and as you said, your grandchildren,
what was?
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Everybody says triggers, yeah.
Okay. Lamont and Hartford are waging a war against homeowners.
Okay.
That's the housing law.
Yeah.
I wrote about it. I read it. I was horrified. The fact is, this law will destroy the value of your home. It will wreck neighborhoods. It will send your property taxes soaring. Basically, what this law says is, if you spent years working your tail off to afford a single-family home in a quiet street, you can't have that.
Yeah.
The government is going to come in and put an apartment building or even a trailer park right next door for the sake of what the bill explicitly says is its purpose, economic diversity. That is not the role of government.
Right.
And so I decided I am waging a fight to defend homeowners in this state. And the day I become governor, that law will be a dead letter. That's the power of the executive branch. I simply will not enforce it. It will die of its own weight. And I know I can do that because I've been in the executive branch before.
I hear you.
Right.
What I want to ask you about that is, and that's an important thing about why I have an issue with this House bill. because I remember this of the Obama-Biden years. And again, that's what this sort of was rooted from.
Oh, yeah. Affirmatively fair housing. That's
exactly. And that's what this is, the genesis of all of this
Mm-hmm.
was. And this was what I was consider a far bigger overreach of the Community Reinvestment Act of the Carter and Clinton years.
Yes.
Which, again, was a boondoggle from the beginning. But what was interesting about this, and I say this, look, I usually don't make race an issue, but I do consider social status. Now, I'm a high school dropout black kid, used to be homeless, who literally did everything I possibly could to make it to where I am today. And the one thing that I got to do a little more than 2 years ago, sweetheart, buy a home.
Yes.
That was the most important thing to me. Why? Because even as a young black kid from Hollis, Queens, even though I wasn't part of the socioeconomic groups or living in the suburbs, I lived in a ghetto. The one thing that we could all agree upon growing up in poverty was that the brass ring, as I called Connecticut before, was to be able to own a home and live in a nice neighborhood and get the hell out of the hood.
Yes.
Now
they're bringing the hood to you.
Exactly.
That's what they're doing. They're telling you you can't have that lifestyle
exactly
because everybody can.
And now you need to be punished.
That's right. It is so unfair. The home ownership is the American dream, but they are in Hartford. They are deliberately making it the impossible dream. And the other thing they're doing is with the property taxes. Now, we know that home values have gone up 60% over the last 5 years. That doesn't mean you have more cash in your pocket to pay higher property taxes. But there's a state law that mandates that every town reassess home values every 5 years.
Yeah.
Then they push up your taxes and people are losing their homes. So on day one, when I'm governor, I'm going to freeze that 5-year reassessment law and push through the legislature a bipartisan act that will cap property tax increases at 2% annually or inflation, whichever is less, right? Almost every state in the nation, even tax hell in New York, has that. And the fact that Connecticut doesn't is an example of their legislative malpractice.
Yeah.
And one more thing.
Yeah, I know.
Seniors. If you're a senior and you live in your primary residence here and you've paid taxes over the years on that primary residence, you will not have to pay property taxes anymore unless your household is bringing in over $100,000 a year in current income. I figured this out. There are 403,000 households headed by seniors. 310,000 of them own their own home, right? 76% of them earn less than $100,000 a year. That means 265,600 households headed by seniors will no longer pay property taxes when Betsy McCaughey is governor. It will be in the rearview mirror for them.
That's
Period.
a great opportunity for a lot of seniors.
That's right.
Who
they
many
have done their part.
Yeah, and many of them today are on fixed incomes. You might want to grab a microphone, honey, if you want to ask the question. Hold on real quick. Let me get your microphone up. My wife obviously has a question about this. Go ahead.
So isn't there a current policy existing that is attempting to push senior citizens out of their homes because they no longer require so much space? And
Well,
Yes.
that
so what
shouldn't
is your...
be up to anybody but the senior. I don't like the fact that they're making it harder and harder for seniors to keep their own homes. Look, my kids and grandkids come back to my house for every holiday. One year I tried to move the Christmas tree from the living room to the dining room. That was too much change for them.
So you know, it's so funny because those are the things that I would think, as you said, getting a bipartisan bill. I can't seem to understand why the legislature cannot even attach itself to that idea. It's insane because every one of those folks, no matter where they are, no matter what, sort of social economic background they're from, they probably now live in nicer neighborhoods. Why would they ever think that it would be? Because I almost feel like they don't understand that it is a punishment for people who moved to these areas to bring that to them.
That's right. Of course, we want affordable housing for people who have low incomes, but it doesn't mean that you have to transform these lovely neighborhoods of single-family homes. face it, if the real goal were just to increase the number of affordable units, they would be building them in cities where the land is cheaper and where there are already sewers, water lines, bus lines, and school capacity.
Oh, and there's also empty buildings.
That's right. Instead, this is not about increasing the amount of affordable housing. It's about punishing small towns of single-family homes.
Yeah. I know that that's always kind of been a thing. And as I said earlier about the Obama-Biden administration going after Westchester, which was the first time it was implemented.
Remember.
You remember that well. That whole idea was, and many people saw it for what it was, because, again, being from Hollis, Queens, Westchester was a great area you moved, you moved to. Connecticut you moved to, and some places in Jersey, just not Jersey City. Just not Jersey City. Hoboken, just not Jersey City. We actually call Jersey City, I almost said the slur. I didn't say it, but yes, we used to call it that, but we're not supposed to say it. But anyway, but you're 100% right that punishment is exactly what they're enacting on people who have done the hard work of moving those communities. And here's what I don't understand.
If they don't respect home ownership, it's as if home ownership isn't a value to them, but it is a value to most people in Connecticut. 68% of Connecticut households own their own home, and a higher percentage aspire to. And it's my job to defend them in this election.
Let me ask you this.
Champion them.
Let me ask you this, because one of the biggest problems that a lot of the folks who call this show and talk to me online that they have with Connecticut is the uniparty. Are you familiar with the so-called adage that there's a uniparty in Connecticut?
I saw that up on Twitter the other day.
You did?
Yes.
So are you just becoming familiar with it, or you always known it was here?
Yeah. No, but, I don't get it. You tell me what you think.
Okay, so I'll tell you what it is that I think is going on. I believe that the separation of people in Connecticut or anywhere else by their politics, showing anyone getting along anywhere, showing up at a dinner party, showing up at an event, and seen laughing or joshing, like not punching each other in the face, is a degree of a uniparty system. And I do believe that it is really out of sorts. Like, there's I'll give you a perfect example to talk about one of the people you'll be going up against. There's a photograph that the Hartford Courant always posts when it talks about Aaron Stewart. And the photograph is Aaron Stewart and Ned Lamont laughing.
Yes,
together.
I've seen that.
Okay, you've seen that photo. It's everywhere.
Times.
It's everywhere, right?
1,000 times.
Whenever they cover Aaron Stewart, it's her and Ned Lamont laughing. What they don't tell you in that photo is that Aaron Stewart is telling Ned Lamont, "Can't wait to beat your behind next." Like, they never cover that.
Right.
In fact, I have a joke about that. I'll tell you off the air. There is that sort of thing that sort of divides people. In fact, discourages Republicans in the state from voting or supporting for Republicans. What do you say to that? And what would you say to people who would ask, is Betsy a part of the dinner party crowd in Greenwich?
I think it's really clear this year how high the stakes are. There has never been more competition among states to get corporations to move, population to move. The competition has really heated up. And Connecticut has to make itself competitive. Right now, Lamont has just thrown in the towel. We are becoming less and less competitive every year. More people are moving out, more companies, more jobs. Everything is going downhill. But we can turn it around. No state is – it's not an act of nature that some states are high-tax states, high-regulation states, losing states economically. It's because of bad decisions made by politicians, generally to buy votes. Right? And so it can be turned around very quickly. And other states are doing that. And Connecticut can too. When I'm governor, we're going to do that very, very fast. And the first thing I'm going to do is stand on the New York-Connecticut border as Kathy Hochul and Zoran Mamdani raise the corporate tax rate over there 50%. And I'm going to say, okay, boys, come on over. We're going to be a low-tax state, and we're going to make you very welcome. Come on over.
You know, it's so true, because Ned Lamont isn't even talking about that, because what an opportunity it would be with a Zoran Mamdani and a Kathy Hochul, knowing damn well that businesses are already, some of the wealthiest are already in Greenwich asking to see homes. And not one of them has ever embraced it by saying, hey, folks, Connecticut is lowering taxes.
Bring your corporate headquarters over. We can have so many corporate headquarters lining the western part of Connecticut, right? They don't even have to have their employees move. All they have to do is move their headquarters, their manufacturing facilities across the line.
We've got plenty of buses that no one's riding. We got a bunch of buses nobody's riding. Just make new routes.
Right.
Just make new routes from Westchester right into the town.
We can clean up, and when I am governor, we are going to clean up. New York is going to be a wasteland, and everybody's going to come over here and thrive with business.
I'm sorry, you said New York was going to be a wasteland?
Yes.
Oh, I think I peed a little. Sorry. I hate New York. I'm from New York. I can't stand it. I want that place burned to the ground. I'm sorry. I just want. And Mamdani is the guy who's going to do it.
I'm welcoming businesses to come over with good jobs because that will make a huge difference to Connecticut. But we have to make ourselves competitive. We have to stand up and disassociate ourselves from the current tax regime in Connecticut and say, we're going to offer you a great deal.
We're going to come back in a little bit. Thank you, Betsy, for being here. I'm going to let you pretty much again, this is your opportunity to sort of introduce yourself to my audience. They seem to know you better than I do, but I want to get to know you. You're much more energetic. I want to talk a little bit about your career, why folks who don't know you or haven't really been introduced to you, and sort of talk about your record in public office, especially your time as lieutenant governor in New York.
And what I've done since then.
Because a lot, yeah. I want to talk about all of that stuff because, again, I sort of want you to give an opportunity to sort of introduce yourself. This is a wild time to get into politics because you've been in it. Like, what were you, 95 to 98? Is that what you were in New York?
Yes.
Yeah, that was actually the time when I left. That's when you finally got there. I had to get the hell out of there. Had to. Won't go back either. But I want to talk to you a little bit about all of that as well. Okay, I'll give you one more chance. You're not of the Greenwich dinner party crowd, right? No. Not at all.
Haven't been to a dinner party in a while.
I don't think they'd invite you.
I usually write my column in the evening.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. Okay. Speaking, we'll talk about your column as well. How long have you been writing for the New York Post?
12 years.
12 years.
Mm-hmm. Every week, 52 times a year. They asked me to write twice a week, and I said, I don't have 104 new ideas each year. 52 is what I could do.
And a Sunday show on Newsmax. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know what? You do more than I do, and I'm several years younger than you.
There he goes again.
I need a hobby. Let's take a break. I'm kidding. Let's take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views, and, of course, Betsy McCaughey is here on Reese on the Radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
Betsy McCaughey. Is that weird? Okay. Betsy McCaughey is here. She's our guest today. Wow, my volume seemed very low. Anyway, she's here. She is our guest today. Betsy, thank you again for being here and spending some time with us. We are
turn your mic. A public service.
Turn your mic towards you a little bit. I'm sorry. Say again. I didn't hear that last part. Your
show is a public service.
That's what I tell everybody. I'm here as a public servant.
That's right.
And my audience is going to make me or break me. And I like to bring, I don't do a lot of interviews because I tell people I don't want any favors. I want anybody saying that I owe them something. And
you're not getting anything.
Yeah, no kid. Thank you. Don't want anything. You're absolutely right. I like that. Are you sure you're not from New York? You have a lot of New York in you. I guess after serving in New York, you get a little bit of that umph in you, because that's what I'm like. I'm like, I don't want to have any bedfellows or any friendships or any of that stuff. Anybody asking me for anything? If I don't owe anybody, nobody asks me for a thing, and I stand on my own too. Yeah. So I like that, and you have an approach that I really, really like. And I like, I'm telling you, just so everybody's clear, don't get nuts. I like Erin. I like her little, gravitas. I like, Ryan Fazio's fiscal responsibility. He is absolutely, cross the T's and dot the I's. He's, I like them both. But I'm kind of digging you, Betsy. I'm not going to lie. I'm actually like, you have a fire in you that I keep telling people is needed in Connecticut.
That's right.
And you really, really do bring that, because you're not just running for something. You're fighting for something.
I'm not seeking higher office as a stepping stone. I'm not building my name recognition.
Right. You got all that.
Not appropriate, right? I'm running to win, and it's not an election. This is a tax revolution.
Right.
If you're sick and tired of being taxed to death, if you want to protect your home, I'm your candidate.
And I know that have you put out the press conference or press release that you're doing a press conference tomorrow?
A press advisory. I think it just went out.
Okay.
To members of the press at 1 o'clock tomorrow at the Capitol.
1 o'clock tomorrow.
We're not going to say what
at the Capitol. No, because you're going to make that announcement there.
That's right.
So the reason why I'm saying is that it's not available to the audience. It's only available to the press. But
well, no, we invite anybody who is in the Capital Region to come watch.
Okay.
We have a specific room in the legislative building right across the street.
Okay.
I think Eric, who's with me, my sidekick here, can give us that information, and we'll announce it. Anybody who wants to come.
Okay. So, so I want to let everybody know that if they want to come, because this is an important press conference and you want people to be there. It's going to be huge.
Yes.
That people you know what? Yes, we'll send Roseanne down there for it. So we'll make sure that
good, Roseanne.
Thank
you.
That she'll be there to cover it live. And then when we go on the air, she'll either convey it on the phone or whatever the case is, but this is going to be huge. So I will tell everybody in the press, do not miss it. Do not. This is very important. I'm not going to tell anybody whether or not I know, but maybe I do. But anyway, I'm not going to say anything. Anyway, nonetheless, because it is huge, you should check it out tomorrow. That being said, I don't want to, because you said something earlier in the interview in the last break about, look, you have nothing bad to say about your opponents. You follow the 11th commandment. I love that. I've always been, I'm a Reagan guy.
Yes.
So I love that. And thank you for honoring that commandment. But we do have to talk about Ned Lamont, because that's the guy you're running against. And we already know it's established that, I call him Oakley Dokley here.
Moneybags Lamont.
You call him Moneybags Lamont.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this, because people keep saying, how is it that this guy, a billionaire, doesn't understand how businesses are run and keeps driving them out?
Right. Well, first of all, and I don't know Ned Lamont personally.
No, but you know him.
But I know his history.
Right.
He didn't build a business.
Okay.
He inherited many millions of dollars.
There you go.
He did not build a business, because people who build a business know what you need in a state. You need deregulation. You need low taxes. You need an educated workforce. We do have that.
Mm-hmm.
You need low-cost energy. Those are the four things you need.
So that's
to
the
run
lacking
a
part.
business. And Ned Lamont has deprived businesses of 3 out of the 4, and that's why Connecticut is ranked one of the least business-friendly states. And in this competitive environment, it's only going to get worse.
But that has always been the thing he has been championed about, that he is a businessman. Right. And that's why he's going to be great for Connecticut.
Not every rich guy is a businessman.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. It's sort of like painting with a broad brush. The guy's got a whole lot of money. He owns a business, which in essence makes him a businessman who really understands the nature of business. And it turns out, as you say, this guy is just a guy with a whole bunch of money, doesn't know how to, because again, the track record is there. He lost Lego. For crying out loud, Legos sell themselves. How do you actually, and you have to be the guy who drives Lego out through regulation and high taxes, because again, Lego can actually match that. Like, I'll put it this way. If I used to say this, in fact, I said it in the 2022 election when Lamont won again. And a lot of people talked about it. Pastor Will said it. He says, say that line again. I said, Connecticut can afford its politics, because there are a lot of wealthy people here who will not support Republican candidates. So they keep voting for this nonsense. I keep asking, when is that well going to run dry? What say you?
Well, it is running dry, because people are leaving in vast numbers now. And I say this as a mother and as a grandmother. I want my children and grandchildren to have opportunities. I don't want my daughter and her husband, who lives right next door to me, to say, Mom, we've decided to move to Tennessee or Florida. I don't. It's so important to me that they live right next door. So this has to be an opportunity state. It's what we owe our kids. And when you look at that ranking, Connecticut, 48th out of 50, who in good conscience could vote for 4 more years of that?
I don't know. Do you think that there is there an apparatus here in Connecticut that is ginning up the votes for him? Because if we look at the last election in 2022, it was a 174,000 vote gap between he and Stefanowski. What is that, 1%?
Yes.
What do you think it is, and how do you overcome
I don't know, but
that?
I will tell you this, and I say this whenever I go to a Republican town committee meeting at night. I'm getting all around the state.
Okay.
If I'm the candidate,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have an election security team that will take photographs and videos in what we would call the suspect areas, where they always have a bag of ballots at 11 o'clock that they discovered at the last minute, right?
Bridgeport.
Right. And I will not concede on election night. I will not. I'm going to see all those videos, all those investigations. I will not concede on election night. The end of the election steal is over.
I got to give you props for that. You know that's taboo. You know it is, because it has probably been the one of the biggest headlines from back in the 2020 election. The refusal to concede has been but no, I give you props for actually not being afraid to say that, because you understand the fraud thing and you can say it openly.
Right. I'm not going to put my tail between my legs and say, well, I'll just concede because it's the ladylike thing to do. Absolutely not. If there's cheating, call it out.
This is the reason why I like you. I think I'm like it, because there's been a fear that's going on. And it's not just here. It's everywhere. Conservatives have acquiesced to either liberal dogma or the mainstream media the way in which they frame these elections. Because again, in 2000, it was okay to challenge the election, to hold the Supreme Court, for crying out loud, in the Gore-Bush debacle that was. In 2016, when Hillary lost, I remember plenty of Congressman Jamie Raskin today, who screams about the 2020 election in January 6th.
We're not allowed.
Yeah, exactly. That guy was on the floor. No offense. So was Dick Blumenthal, was one of the people who were challenging the election in 2016. You want to know how I know Dick Blumenthal was challenging the election in 2016? Because I sat in the pew while he did it in Washington. Yeah, I watched him. When he walked in, I said, "Hey, that's Dick Blumenthal. What is he here for?" And I watched him contest that election, even after the election. So this is, it's so refreshing to hear somebody openly say that if you believe some shenanigans are going on, you're going to push back on them.
Yes.
Okay, enough about me asking you a whole bunch of stuff. What do you want the folks to know about Betsy McCaughey that we haven't covered or you don't believe has been covered enough?
Well, the other thing that people are so worried about are their electric rates.
Yes, well, that's a given. But please talk to me about that.
Let me explain. And I, without being too disrespectful, I will say, blame it on Windbag Lamont. Windbag Lamont. You hear him constantly say, I'm going to lower electric rates by diversifying the source of energy. And then he points to all these contracts he has with the offshore wind companies. Well, it's pretty clear what the facts are. Offshore wind costs 86 cents per kilowatt hour. Natural gas generated electricity or nuclear generated electricity costs 46 cents. So when you add wind, offshore wind, to the electric grid, it will double your cost. That's obvious. So when he says he's going to have all this offshore wind coming on, your electric bill will double if Ned Lamont is reelected. It will double. It's important to know that. He's lying to you.
It's the same thing that Obama was lying about. In fact, Obama admitted that naturally going off of natural gas, going off of fossil fuels would naturally, in Obama's words, naturally raise the cost of energy.
That's right.
And that's exactly what Lamont's playbook is to do the exact same thing.
But he lies about it.
Yeah, that's true. Because
Lion Lamont.
It's incredible, but yes.
Lamont.
What would be your What would be, well, I don't want you to sort of give up everything because other people are going to be copying from your paper. And I want to give you an opportunity to sort of lay that out in your campaign.
And let's talk about the public benefit, Charles.
Yes, let's talk about that.
We were talking earlier about the nonprofit advocacy industrial complex.
Yes.
This is a huge array of organizations, community organizations.
Sure.
They are sucking on the public tit, right? They get all these grants through the legislature, and they don't do anything with them except put their own people on the payroll in between elections. These are the same people who get out the vote on Election Day. Our tax dollars are going to those groups to vote against us and pull out the vote against us. And those lawmakers in Hartford they're it's like virtue posturing. We're going to give it to this group and that group. The government should not be giving money to not-for-profits.
Yeah.
Period.
We got to put a stop to that.
Right. So in this case, when the public benefit charge by statute was authorized, right, it says right in that statute that it can be used to pay money to these not-for-profits. So why didn't any of the lawmakers from either party in Hartford tell us that's what it said?
Yeah.
Right? They should have said right at the beginning, well, we voted against this, it got passed anyways, but here's where the money's really going. Now we know where it's going. There are these NGOs, not-for-profit groups.
Connecticut Green Bank is one of them.
Oh, yeah. They're creating events, classroom events, where people are told, come learn about your electric bill. They're being provided with free daycare, free lunch, and free transportation. And the person standing in the front of the room lecturing them about their electric bill is getting $10,000, right, to run these groups. It's all exposed now. Mark Fitch, the researcher at the Yankee Institute.
Our good friend.
That's right. He blew the lid on this one. But I'm saying, why didn't the lawmakers in Hartford expose this? Why did we have to get somebody on the outside to do it?
Yeah, it's again, I think it sort of lends itself to that.
We need to clean house.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
Clean house.
We got to take a break real quick. Just going to pay a couple of bills, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap this up with Betsy McCaughey, folks. A very, very enlightening interview with her when we return. Stick around. It's Reese on the Radio.
It's Reese on the Radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're about to wrap it up with Betsy McCaughey running for governor here in Connecticut. I told you at the beginning, right, that one of the biggest issues that we have in Connecticut is everybody is always taking a dump on people who get into politics who are from Greenwich. And you are from Greenwich.
At the moment. I've lived in many towns. I've lived in Milford. I've lived in Westport. I've lived in New Canaan.
Right.
Now I live in Greenwich. And I have to tell you.
You come from a blue-collar background,
That's right. I certainly do. And I'm making it to all 169 towns. In the last week, I've been in Watertown, Torrington. I'm going to Milford tonight. I'm going to Easton tonight. Everywhere.
I hear you. So, and people, again, as I tell you all the time, as I told you before, people in me is like, oh, she's from Greenwich. That was like, and somebody wrote this. Let me just read what they said. It was like, oh, Greenwich. Why does it always have to be Greenwich? If Fazio runs as her lieutenant, they could carpool. He said, that's always
I like that. Ask him.
It's actually a pretty good idea, right? But that's the whole thing. It's like there's this sort of class system. I don't get it because it's Connecticut, and I think everybody here is well-to-do because they live here, but it's not true for a lot of folks. But I don't look at it as sort of a class system. I'm from New York. There's a class system that's very obvious, where I grew up. I mean, it's literally through town and city and everything. So I really don't understand that. But I don't see you. Maybe it's me, but I don't see you. You seem very blue-collar.
Well, that's how I started my life. And the goal, of course, is to make sure everybody has that kind of opportunity. We can't give kids and grandkids an opportunity when Connecticut ranks 48th out of the 50 states. I'm going to make Connecticut tax competitive. I'm going to make Connecticut a place where families choose to reside and companies are flooding us with opportunities, coming back to this state because it's a good place to do business.
And you're not going to lure them here with abortion, and that I love.
Absolutely
not. I'm just saying.
That's ridiculous.
He really did it. He really did it. It was the most astonishing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Looney Lamont. That's the best.
You've got like so many nicknames for him, but I like that style. Betsy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
So much
Everybody
fun.
should go to
Betsy2026.com.
That's right, Betsy2026.com. Thank you for making it so simple for everybody to go there. They can donate. They can follow you, find out what your policies are.
And call me anytime. My phone number, everything's.
Are you serious?
I'll give you my phone number on the air because I love to hear from everybody. 917-748-0227.
Give it again.
I'll get plenty of calls before my next stop, which is Milford at 7.
Give it again.
917-748-0227. I want to hear from you.
You just hit my camera. I knew you were going to do it. I knew you were going to do it. It always happens.
At
least it was at the end. That's okay. We'll be back. Thank you, Betsy. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We'll be back. Let's get to our first check of weather and traffic. Mark Christopher. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I think I finally figured out what the darn problem was why it was sounding so weird. It's because the volume over here was so darn low. And I needed it to go a little higher. Thank you, Betsy, for coming in and being on the show. There is a whole bunch of stuff brewing in the chat room. People talking about, as I brought up, that I dealt with early, was about Betsy's age. And I look, I know it's a tough question to have to ask. People's like, whoa, why are you bringing up her age? It is, look, you have so many people who literally hinge whether or not they're going to vote on someone based upon their youth. You have all like, we need somebody younger. And then you get somebody like Betsy in there and you just go, all right, she's this age. How do you respond to that? I know it's not a big deal. It's about experience. And I said this before. I pushed back on this when people said to me, we just need to get someone younger, which means what? Just because they're younger doesn't mean that they're smart, doesn't mean that they understand how. I'm sorry?
It means they're pliable, they're controllable, they're
exactly.
able to be molded into
more
what they
malleable.
Want.
That's my
right.
favorite word for them.
Malleable.
Malleable. And that's, again, one of the things. So the only reason why I ask is because that's what people are going to bring up. And, of course, looking in the chat room, that was one of the points that were brought up.
Well, I think it's valid, right? And I'll tell you why. Somebody somewhere is wanting to know the question, whether this guy over here thinks that's
right.
rude.
Yeah.
Somebody over here is going, that's a very good point. So,
right.
You know what? You don't have to like all the questions. Just know what the questions were being asked. You don't
right.
like it, it's
right.
fine.
Exactly
Move
right.
on and wait for the next question. You'll be fine.
100% right. Just get it. And I had to. I was just saying to myself, I had to get it out of the way because people are talking about it and people will mention it.
What did they say about Trump and
exactly.
Biden? Old men, they're too old, they can't govern.
Oh, so don't forget white. Don't forget white.
Right. But, I mean, difference. Anyway,
yeah.
You have to ask these questions because there are people who are going to make, like if it's between Ryan Fazio and
Aaron Stewart.
Right. And
Betsy McCaughey.
You have to know based on, some people are going to vote for the young, hot, fresh kid off Greenwich, Somebody's going to vote for the older woman who has a life experience and has lived here and understands. So everybody's going to have their reasons.
Their niche.
Everybody wants to know how old.
Yeah.
Or at least an age range.
Yeah. One of the problems with the state and country, only the rich get in office, not the normal population. People, money doesn't equal common sense. What Jason's right on that, but I want to push back only a little bit on what Jason says here. And this, Jason, you've listened long enough, so you probably know this opening monologue very early in my career here, from filling in full time till when I got in full time. I did an opening monologue talking about not really being interested in broke people telling me how to be wealthy. I'm just saying.
Right.
Right? It's like I rarely go to poor people for financial advice.
It's a very smart way to live.
It's just the thing. But I get where Jason's coming from. He doesn't mean that. He is definitely not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying being a wealthy person isn't enough. However, because Betsy made the case about Ned Lamont, in that area, just because he has a lot of money and he runs it or has a business doesn't mean that he runs one or knows how to attract business, which is evident in his tenure as governor of this state, because he couldn't even use his business savvy to keep those businesses here.
I will say when we get back my point.
Okay. Let's get another break. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Traffic Center, or BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. I got to remember to say lawyers.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
You did say 1 minute. I'm trying to eat lunch at the same time. This is the worst. Anyway, let me get that out of the way. Roseanne is here. You know what I'll do? Just because I have to finish eating. Let me go to the phones. Lynn is in West Suffield. She's been on the hold for a while, so I'm assuming she wanted to get in on the conversation about Betsy McCaughey. How are you, Lynn?
I'm doing good. Yes, I was calling about that, and I do agree. The only thing that's going to save Connecticut is to bring back our $250,000 manufacturing jobs. Like clothing, mills, everything from medication to machining, everything. The more taxes that they can have coming in will lower their taxes, and that's why so many people are leaving. Yeah. And we need thousands of ICE agents in Connecticut, and we definitely need Dodge to come in.
Doge needs to come in so many levels, and I think after this Blue Hills scandal with Doug McCaughey, it beyond a shadow of a doubt, Republicans need to get it together and find a way to get the federal government to come in here. I know that there's already a federal investigation into what's happening with the Blue Hills organization, but it's got to go deeper than that. And again, Roseanne and I are looking into these NGOs that are in Hartford, and these numbers are astronomical. And people might say, it's only 10 million here and 20 million there. It's a lot of money in 1 year, where the money in Roseanne is in here extensively doing an investigation into this, and it turns out a lot of the money is going directly to the employees.
Right. They're saying that 89.5%, so 89.5 cents out of every dollar goes to services and programs that directly assist these people in need. However, when you look at where these services are provided, or the money goes to the services provided, not to the individuals in need. When you look at who's providing the services, it is the NGO itself.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Connecticut, look it up. You can Google it. Connecticut is $88 billion in total debt.
Yeah.
Wow.
Total debt. That's serious. But I had one thing I really wanted to address with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And with Roseanne.
Yes, ma'am.
Seriously. John Flynn was running as a U.S. Senator against Chris Murphy.
Yes.
He had a podcast, and he was putting out a ton of fraud that was going on in the state. They tried to arrest him, for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up putting him, and this is a statement, former Connecticut state candidate John Flynn, Senate candidate John Flynn, is now held by the state without charges or a trial in a psychiatric ward.
Yeah,
and I have heard that they are injecting him with nobody knows what.
Wow.
But he's never had a trial. He's never been charged.
Okay.
They wanted to shut him up.
What we need to do is, and I know exactly the person I'm going to call afterwards to get on his case, because I don't know if that was you, Lynn, but several people have sent it to my X page, and I saw it during the commercial break. Was that you? Thank you so much for sending it to me. So, and by the way, folks, if that's the way you want to meet me, if you want to introduce something to me that I may not know, do like Lynn just did. Go to my X page. It's Reese on the radio, and send it to me there, or send it to me in a personal message. I think you can send a direct chat to me on X if there's something you try to get to me. I did see that during the break, Lynn. Thank you so much for forwarding that to me, because I know exactly who to get it to.
Thank you, because I wasn't really following him a lot, but I did listen to his podcast once in a while, and he made so much sense, and he had so much information, but they wanted to shut him up so bad, and this is what they did to him.
Wow.
I will look so far into it. In fact, I think the bloodhound known as my wife, Roseanne, will get to the bottom of it. I'll forward it to her now.
Thank you, Roseanne.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn.
All right, bye.
You got it.
That's a little bit scary, right? Because we came here specifically to wake up nutmeggers, right?
Yeah.
I am so sick and tired of conservative Christian constituency, regardless of what political party you claim.
That's right.
We have to sit down in the bushes. We have to, cover our. We have to be like, we're hidden. We're terrified to show up and speak out, because you have these powerful megalomaniacs with money that are willing to do things like, go and have you committed. It's frightening. But you know what? If the policy is to shut somebody up by having them hospitalized or, some other means, the question has to be asked. The public has to ask why. Yeah. Why are they going to such extremes to silence the opposition?
Yeah. Aaron B. says, as Todd Feinberg was so fond of saying, Ned Lamont has no interest whatsoever in government. He just loves the idea of being governor. That might be the case. I don't, but like I said, I saw this in so many ways in the last year of 2025 that Ned Lamont was like a deer in headlights whenever he was addressed with an issue, be it Wanda Pataki, be it the scandal that happened with was it Sean Reyes and the Connecticut State Trooper. The other one was with what was the other thing that he had to address? There was something that you had to address the scandal with the guy who had the contracts. So I can't remember his name. The school building contracts. I can't remember that guy's name. But anything and everything, he almost seemed like a deer in headlights, like he was never prepared for confrontation with it. Then when we heard at the Friendly Hands Food Bank that he was telling individuals who could come and who couldn't come to that press conference.
That tells you everything you need to know. It's like it's Connecticut's Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Yes.
He is Connecticut's Kamala. Whatever, that chick's name, Harris.
Yeah.
Mr. Lamont, we heard that water is wet. The science, so we got to go. Thank you. It was great seeing you all.
He's uncomfortable with those moments.
With having to answer a question. God forbid a public servant serve.
But when I found out that whole thing about him sending out press releases to some news agencies and not all, when I got the word on that, and also telling individuals that they couldn't answer questions if they were asked by the media, is another thing I couldn't fathom. I'm like, is that real? And sure enough, it is.
That tells you exactly who she is.
During COVID, Ned would always pass the questions over to Josh. And again, this is...
Is that his Johnny?
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, later on in the show, we're also going to finish out all of this stuff with the NGO. I've got some audio sound bites of or at least one good one so far in the Jack Smith testimony today that's happening on Capitol Hill. In fact, I'm going to take an opportunity, if I could. Let me play you this. This guy, Brandon Gillis, Roseanne, I introduced you to this young kid many moons ago. And this guy, he is the one who always, during these committee hearings, he always brings up the person's Twitter handle and the things that they've said in the past. And he's well researched. His staff goes literally in the dirt for stuff that you said like 4 or 5 years ago. He's got the best research team in going around. Well, this is him again. Representative Brandon Gill, that's his name, yeah, Brandon Gill, talking to Jack Smith today at the Hill. In fact, it's so bad at the end of it, you are going to hear Maryland Representative Jamie Raskin speak up to Jim Jordan and say, the Congressman's time has expired, because he knows that he has beaten the pants off Jack Smith. Here it goes.
Mr. Smith, in January of 2023, did you subpoena then Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy's toll records?
Yes, sir, we did.
Yes, you did. And the subpoena covered the time period between November 2020 and January 2021. Is that right?
That's as high as it goes.
I'm sorry, sir. Could you say that again?
We're not going to delay like this. The subpoena covered the time period between November of 2020 and January 2021. How many days after Kevin McCarthy was sworn in as Speaker did you subpoena his records?
I don't recall, but those two things had nothing to do with it.
It was 16 days after becoming the highest-ranking Republican in the House of Representatives. You subpoenaed his toll records. Do you agree that that might reasonably be considered a violation of the Speech or Debate Clause?
I do not, and I want to be clear that the toll records...
You were collecting months' worth of phone data on the Republican Speaker of the House, the leader of the opposition, right after he got sworn in as Speaker, all around the time of a major vote. That sounds like a flagrant violation of the speech or debate clause to me, and I think most people agree with me. And Speaker McCarthy had no recourse, did he? Because you issued a non-disclosure order ensuring that neither he nor any of the American people knew about these subpoenas. Is that right?
The toll record, the non-content toll record subpoenas, we did secure non-disclosure orders for those subpoenas.
You did. And let me ask you, Mr. Smith, at the time you secured those non-disclosure orders, was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
The non-disclosure order was based on concerns about...
Was Speaker McCarthy a flight risk?
He was not.
That's such a key point in all of this. Was Speaker McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, was he a flight risk when you went for his phone records? And this is where it gets ugly, ladies and gentlemen. This is when you know that Brandon Gill has got you by the horns, like he's got you by the short and curlies. It's so bad because what Jack Smith's about to say is so bad.
He was not. Then why did your non-disclosure order refer to him as a flight risk? It says right here, the court finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in flight from prosecution.
He was saying that the Speaker of the House, if he found out about them investigating him, that Kevin McCarthy would flee the country. Even while Kevin McCarthy would never know that he was being investigated. That was what's done by your January 6th prosecutor, Jack Smith, the Bulldog, the one that everybody was raving about. He's gonna get Trump. And this guy was doing dirty deeds behind the scene. We go on.
Sir, when securing a non-disclosure order, the risks don't have to be associated.
You think that the Speaker of the House is a flight risk?
The question?
No, this is not your time. This is my time. You think the Speaker of the House is a flight risk? You think he's going to hop on a plane and leave the country?
No, what I was trying to explain is with respect to a non-disclosure order, the risks aren't necessarily associated with the subscriber to the phone. They're the risks to the investigation.
I think that you were using, this was clearly in reference to Speaker McCarthy, and you were using clearly false information to secure a non-disclosure order to hide from Speaker McCarthy and from the American people the fact that you were spying on his toll records.
That's almost as egregious as what they were doing in the FISA warrants, when they were saying certain individuals who were CIA assets were not. And they had actually, they literally fudged an email to change it from the answer being, yes, he's a CIA asset, where one lawyer changed it and said that he was told no. And that guy got a slap on the wrist. But that's what they were doing in order to get a FISA warrant so they can spy on the Trump administration back in 2016. So here we go again. Jack Smith, again, the guy who was supposed to be finding the letter of the law, finding wrongdoing all over the place.
But it's different.
Yeah, exactly.
It's different when Jack Smith does it.
Exactly.
He's preserving democracy.
Exactly. Hold on. It gets better. Remember, you hear Jamie Raskin's like, will you let him answer the question? I'm like, yo, no, this is not your time. Hold on. He went on.
But I've got more, so let's move on. In May of 2023, you also issued subpoenas for toll records of 9 U.S. senators and an additional representative. Is that right?
In May of 23, we did issue...
You did, and there were non-disclosure orders in conjunction with those subpoenas as well, right?
That's correct, consistent with department policy and the law.
So again, nobody would know what you were doing. The senators would, and the representatives would, and the American people wouldn't know what you were doing. Is that right?
The toll records that we secured and the non-disclosure orders were consistent with policy and...
And you knew whenever you were doing that there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. Is that right?
The toll record subpoenas that we secured were with the concurrence of the public integrity.
Your own analysis says that you knew there was a risk you were violating the speech or debate clause. I have it right here. This is an email from John Keller at Public Integrity Section to your team. As you are aware, quote, as you are aware, there is some litigation risk regarding whether compelled disclosure of toll records of a member's legislative calls violates the speech or debate clause in the D.C. Circuit. That's from your own analysis, right?
So they knew. They knew everything that they were doing wasn't above board. He knew. Everybody knew.
But he's an American hero. He did stuff.
I don't even know what to tell you. We got to get to another traffic and weather break. Let's get to it. Mark Christopher, he's here. He's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hello, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Reese on the radio. Traffic and weather coming up on the H with Mark Christopher. Roseanne, you do not know this woman, but you did look at her picture as I was uploading it here to show on the screen for those of us who are watching online at ReeseOnTheRadio.com, YouTube, and X. The picture of that woman is Barbara Jordan. She is a Texas Democrat and also a civil rights icon. Barbara was tapped by Bill Clinton in 1993 to chair the U.S. Commission on Immigration Reform created under the 1990 Immigration Act. The commission's job, review U.S. immigration policy and spit out recommendations to Congress. They dropped interim reports in 94 and 95, the final one in 1997 after Jordan's death in 1996. They were about tightening the ship, according to her report that she was done. A black woman, civil rights leader. She said we had to tighten up the ship. We had to slash legal immigration by a third, from 800,000 to 550,000 annually. Today we take in 1 million. Prioritize nuclear families, spouses and kids.
Whoa.
Overextended ones like siblings or adult children. Crack down hard on illegal entries with better border ops and workplace verification to emphasize the Americanization through English and civics education. Solid, sensible stuff. If you're eyeing national interest over endless expansions, echoes what some would consider a conservative vibe. This came from a black woman.
Right. The nuclear family is the one that kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah.
That is completely in violation to what BLM is all about.
The question was, did the Clinton administration bury her report? Well, not exactly bury it, but they hid it. They did hide it. Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild?
Why would they do that?
Well, probably because it went against everything that folks were trying to get. Now, here's the crazy part. You know, we were talking with Betsy McCaughey about the whole uniparty here in Connecticut. Well, it was very, very ripe during the Clinton era, and as we know today, even under the Trump era. It turns out that there were a lot of conservatives who really liked the cheap labor. They really loved it. Yeah. Well, other folks, of course, usual, it means more representation. So Clinton and, of course, the activist groups, many of them Hispanic, Latina, La Raza, types like that. Well, there's a group called La Raza. That's out there. Those folks got in Clinton's ear and they said, this report doesn't really help us. And, of course, everybody else who needed those illegals coming into the country, those folks buried that black woman's report. She died in 1996.
Let me just make sure I'm putting this as small as possible. A black woman did a report that said we need to focus on the nuclear family, make sure people that come here are integrating, learning the language, and we need to reduce the amount of illegals that come in here. And another group of people said, no, we want
the opposite of that.
We want slave labor.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's right. They buried her report right before they buried her in 1996. Let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080, WTIC.
Okay, so Doug McCaughey has released a statement about the Blue Hills Civic Association and its mismanaging of millions of dollars. It's now defunct. It's out of business. They're gone. This audit that was done has McCaughey's name all over it. And people are saying that he needs to step down from committees instead of being asked to step down. Now, what I would like to say here is that I know arrogance when I see it, and I know arrogance when I read it. As my wife likes to say, if you smelt it, you dealt it.
Well, I mean, water seeks its own level.
That's right. Hey, exactly. But I want to read McCaughey's response to this audit. And, folks, it is classic. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I would have written it. No, I wouldn't have. Somebody should have proofread it. He probably has a horrible staff. Anyway, the Department of Economic and Community Development audit of the Blue Hills Civic Association and subsequent reporting by members of the media has raised questions related to state oversight of public funds provided to community nonprofits. Although I engaged in no wrongdoing, I was mentioned in the audit because I was involved in advocating at the legislator for resources for organizations within my district, including Blue Hills Civic Association, and some of the organizations that received funds were criticized in the audit. Having reviewed the audit, I want to share my perspective on some of its findings. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm fascinated because I'm looking here and the audit shows that he's received at least, where'd it go, $200 and something thousand directly to his pockets. There's another $615,000 directly to McCaughey.
Who's the source on this?
This would be, I just asked Grok.
That's the allegations they're saying.
The sources are the Connecticut Mirror, DECD Forensic Audit Report, Connecticut Insider, and Connecticut Public.
Thank you. Anyway, here's what he says are some of its findings. I want to share my perspective on some of its findings. First, the DECD audit makes clear that stronger oversight is needed to ensure that public funds are managed responsibly and effectively. I agree with this goal and will be supportive of reasonable measures to achieve it. No one ever hires the bank robber to make it safer. No one ever. They're like, hey, you robbed this bank. How many times? 3, 4 times? You know what? We're going to need your insight on keeping it from being robbed again.
We're going to give you a job. We're going to pay you so you can rob us again.
Give you a job. But remember, that job only starts once you've done your prison time. It's like you got to serve your time. Anyway, at the same time, I also agree strongly that we need to recognize that nonprofit organizations are essential partners in our communities, delivering youth programs, job training, housing assistance, and other critical services that families in my district and across Connecticut rely on every day, which they clearly mismanaged. Anyway, therefore, while Connecticut should seek to strengthen oversight for public funds, it must do so carefully and fairly without creating unnecessary red tape that blocks resources from reaching residents that need them the most. This guy he makes it easier for these people to get money that only gets mismanaged because he's complaining about red tape. They got $15 million. I don't know what kind of red tape would do you imagine somebody complaining after they robbed you about the expedience you gave them your wallet? It was like somebody coming up to you with a gun saying, "Give me your wallet." It was like, "Oh, hold on, I got to check which pocket it's in." Come on, man, hurry up. Yeah, I just don't remember what pocket it's in. It might be in my pants. It might be in my sock. Can you hold on for a second?
You have to hear this.
Okay, go ahead, read it.
2024, $4.17 million to 23 subrecipients, including Sheba Consulting, which got $600,000.
That's Cicero, the alleged girlfriend.
The Prosperity Foundation, $1.1 million.
By the way, why would hold on, got to stop you. Why would the Prosperity Foundation be taking money like bums? That's not prosperity. That's begging. Prosperity means you make your own money.
Prosperity means, listen, give us a small fee and we will help you be prosperous.
Exactly.
Not just keep funneling us money. That's not prosperity. 1.1 million to the Greater Hartford Alliance of Black Social Workers. So only the black social workers. Nobody else, because only black social workers help black people.
He said it's in his district. Anyway, go on.
And so down here, I asked Grok, I said, how are funds allocated? And it says that there is no
accounting.
There's no oversight on how it's been dispersed.
Which is according to, and again, I'm betting I'll put any amount of money on it. Grok's sourcing is the audit.
$300,000 wires to My People Community Service. Intercepted fraudulently and replaced later. $25,000 passed through via Wilson Gray's YMCA to St. John's Full Gospel.
Here's the part that I don't understand. He doesn't even address the fact that there is evidence that after that $300,000 ended up in somebody else's account, right, which is, again, is wire fraud. Right. And the fact that it is evident that we know irrefutable evidence says that McCaughey said, don't tell anyone. And that Blue Hills refused to tell anyone for months that the money ended up somewhere else, that someone had changed the, the routing address, right? The routing address on the bank account for some $300,000. And then Doug McCaughey said, don't say anything. He doesn't even address that. The audacity of this lunatic. That's the reason why he's got to go.
This is fascinating. This is the second. Listen, guys, I've done 2 entities here in Connecticut in what? We've been sitting here for 3 whole hours.
Yeah.
And I've been able to look at this and recognize, like that Ciri, C-I-R-I.
Yeah.
89.5% they claim goes directly to supportive services for these immigrants and refugees. Mm-hmm. And so when I ask Grok, what services do they provide? I get a list of services. Translation is a big one. Education, trauma services, legal services, things like that. And I said, okay, so who provides these services? They're all done in-house.
That's right. They're not farming any people out.
They're not going, here's a group of organizations that we utilize for certain things. No. They provide the services themselves. We provide the trauma services for you, and we take the money out of what was given to us to give.
Yeah, money's going to staff.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So the almost 90%, so 90 cents out of every dollar goes right back into the pockets of the organizers.
That's all it is. Exactly.
It's disturbing. This is the second one. I don't even do this for a living.
And you don't even, guess what? And here's the oversight problem, right? So this was just like the J. King issue back in California. Right?
Which one?
So what's it? The J. King issue in California with the school, that all the money was going to the school and there was no oversight, and they were lying about the students that were there. They were lying about, like they were actually fabricating names.
Buying them cell phones.
Buying people cell phones.
For lifelong
said they had a
usage.
list. Right. They said they had a list of students, and some of the students not only didn't go to school, but they were under the age of eligibility to be in the school.
They were over the age. It was.
Oh, there were people over and under.
It was supposed to be like first grade or kindergarten. It was children to like 22-year-old, but they had like 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
Coming in, showing up to get their free cell phones and taking trips to Hawaii for a week on the company's dime. It was ridiculous, y'all.
All of this was all taxpayer funded. This is again, there's so much of this nonsense that's going on. And the fact that McCaughey can put out this statement and say, I ain't did nothing, which is in essence what this is what essence in what he's saying. I did nothing. Although my name is all over it, this has nothing to do with me.
It wasn't me.
Ugh. It's the Shaggy defense.
It's the Shaggy defense. This is fantastic. And again, I keep thinking about how do these organizations that rely solely on donation manage to have something like a 95% success rate when you have these NGOs that are receiving millions from the federal government and are helping like 2% of the population that they're supposed to be. So we've got it wasn't even 2%, 150,000 illegals.
Right.
They've helped 4,000 people.
That's right.
In the last 4 years.
That's right.
It's 1,000 people a year. That's not even 1% of the population that they're supposed to be helping.
And all of the NGOs have a combined at least close to $80 million.
Right.
$80 million.
$80 million for 150,000. I got to do the math on that. Hold on.
It's absolutely unheard of.
I'm just saying, like, how do I look at us over here like idiots working? Working. I can do that.
I just love, the part that I love about it is the fact that somebody like the governor is going down there receiving awards from these bozos, right? And then coming out, it's like, look at me, I'm holding up my awards. It's like, I'm a fantastic provider of money to these folks that are fleecing the taxpayer here in Connecticut. They're the most important people in the world.
That is a total of $533.
Yeah?
I can't really see. Hold on.
$533 per person?
Yeah.
Per year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
what do you do?
I mean, that's not even enough to pay an attorney.
No, it isn't. Actually, when we come back, I want to go into this story here because there was a national story today, I think it was about. There was a growing number of families across the country who are homeschooling their kids. They're leaving public education. And I'm looking at the numbers so far. Let me give you, just to tease you a little bit based on this story. It says the big picture major trend is that American cities are bleeding students from public schools at an alarming rate. Parents aren't sticking around for the status quo. They're fleeing to charters, private options, and homeschooling, even online programs for their kids.
Absolutely.
In New York City, they lost, from 2019 to 2020, they lost 22,000 kids in just that year.
Nobody wants their kids reading, kid-friendly porn. Nobody wants their kids having, transgenders showing up and stripping for them.
By the way, I apologize. The 22,000 kids are this school year alone.
Wow.
The school year.
We're not even halfway through the year.
Exactly. We're talking this 22,000. Here's where the number gets crazy. Since 2019 and 2020, over 117,000 are gone in New York City. In Chicago, they saw a 22% decline. And that's because that school system is garbage.
I was going to say Chicago kind of like that's sort of a that's coming from double things, right? Like, what is the truancy rate in Chicago? That's number one.
That's also important.
What is the crime rate like amongst a certain demographic?
Also true.
And then how many people are just plain out dying and or leaving?
Mm-hmm. Denver, Colorado, not so bad, but they lost 10,000 kids, up 1.2% drop. Full-time homeschooling is up 5.5% in Denver,
Remember
Colorado.
when homeschooling used to be weird?
I know!
Everybody's like, oh my God, your kid is so weird. It's allergic to everything.
I was like, where do you eat lunch? In the kitchen? Seattle, Washington, that's down 50,000 students. And they said that's the steepest post-pandemic hit. But I looked up the numbers here in Connecticut because that is a big issue here in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. Because Connecticut, it's an embarrassment like beyond the pale if Connecticut, which is considered one of the best educated states in the union, to be losing students to go to homeschooling. That means that Connecticut does not have any control over a lot of that. And, of course, with the end of the Department of Education, there's just so many things that are going to happen with education in the state of Connecticut that they know is beyond their control. And if Trump has his way, they've got to do something.
So we've got decreased business opportunities, increasing
homeschooling,
electric,
electric bills,
utility bills. It's harder to own a home. Property taxes are on the rise. Nobody wants to go to public school. Why does anybody want to stay in Connecticut?
I don't know.
Why do they keep voting these idiots into office who keep doing this to us?
I've got to be honest with you. I'll tell you. And
Let's go back to Texas.
I almost said it with Betsy. I really, really wanted to. And I said this maybe last year I said it. It's because they're cheating. I know they're cheating. Anyway, let's get another check of traffic and weather. Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
Accusations that you tried to deny. Revelation and rumors begin to fly.
baby. Some help from above.
Jesus in here.
I just heard Roseanne talking about all those great things, and I'm thinking, man, they just moved here. I hope they knew about this before they decided to move here.
No, I knew most of it. Yeah. She wanted to be here anyway because of snow. That's why.
Four seasons, 4 whole seasons.
You're gonna get
the brunt of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be brutal. Looks like I think it's gonna get above freezing again on February 4th. So enjoy the next 2 weeks.
There you go.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
You guys know that here on Reese on the radio, what we always like to do is introduce new music to the program. And yesterday, you may have heard that William Tong was upset about somebody writing something mean about him.
He hurt his feelings.
Yes, and I said yesterday that give me none of that nonsense. Miss me with that BS, because nobody said a word when Senator Anwar, who I hear is running for re-election, hey, Senator, hey, congratulations. No scandal there, buddy. Anyway, he's running for re-election, Senator Anwar. Like, nobody said anything. They stood by him when he was holding up a picture at a No Kings rally that said, cholesterol, do your job, which is in essence calling for the death of the President of the United States. Mm-hmm. People said that, we were out of speech. It was a freedom of speech. We're taking it out of hand. And then some other person, we're not talking about a public official, not an elected official, some rando.
No name, no face rando.
Exactly. Write something about William Tong online, and that becomes a press conference that everybody's got to hear William Tong whine about.
He hurt that poor little girl's feelings.
Also, and I love what Vincent Candelora said about the whole deal about, look, miss me with that BS. You never, ever said anything about some of the, no one's ever called you out of some of the stuff that you've said and the Democrats have said about Donald Trump, including Senator Anwar. We ain't even trying to hear that. And of course, the story is over. It was a big deal yesterday because Tong has to hold a press conference every 5 minutes about Donald Trump, as does Chris Murphy have to hold an entire press conference. He even flies all the way to Texas in order to come. Like, how does he go to San Antonio after we leave? He must be scared of me. He went back to the place I left. I'm up in Connecticut. He's never here. But anyway, I digress. So I figured, you know what? If you're going to, be constantly all over Donald Trump, screaming and hollering about Donald Trump, I think it's only right that we write a song about it. And when we come back on this New Music Thursday, we will give you the Chris Murphy, William Tong, Trump Derangement Syndrome song that we put together. I hope you enjoy it. It will be here when we return. Stand by. Don't go anywhere. Mark Christopher, who's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center, loves the music that we play here, original music. So, Mark, be ready for this one.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. We've had some good ones, some really good ones.
Thank you, sir.
I think they could chart. Actually, they're that good.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we are back. It's Reese on the radio. Roseanne on the radio hanging out with us. She is going to be on assignment tomorrow with Betsy McCaughey at City Hall. So she'll be there. She'll be at the live press conference. And trust me when I tell you, folks, you don't want to miss what Betsy's going to say tomorrow. I already know. I know some people are going to be hollering at me. They're going to say, no, what is it? What is it? I won't tell you. I won't. I
don't even know.
You don't know?
I feel like I should, but I don't. You don't tell me anything. I just show up and you surprise me with crap.
Yeah, but it's going to be a big one. So I'm surprised that no one's talking about it yet. But please be at our press conference if you want to be at City Hall tomorrow at 1:00. So get there early. I'm sure it's going to be standing room only. Yesterday on the show, we talked about William Tong being upset about this. Donald Trump is creating the temperature where people are making comments about him. And, of course, Chris Murphy, who can't stop whining about every little thing that Donald Trump does. And so I've been saying this for the longest. I was like, you know what? Why isn't there a song about Trump derangement syndrome? Why isn't there a song about William Tong and Chris Murphy when it comes to Trump derangement syndrome? So wrote a song about it, and here it goes.
It goes like this.
I know
This is absolutely. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. I set it up, but I didn't set it up the way that I'm supposed to because I did not do the volume here. So how much I suck when I do this stuff. And I was supposed to.
I distracted you. I'm sorry.
You did distract me. Of course you did.
Little Willie Tone.
And so, no, but wait a minute. Hold on. You mean to tell me that the audio? There it is. There it is. I knew that I screwed this up. So let's go one more time.
Chris scrolling doom, thumb on patrol. Every fresh post pulling on his soul. Calls go dip, there he go again. Typing all caps like he lost a friend. Did you see this clip? 10 texts in a row. He's arguing a segment from 3 nights ago. Stamp in the doorway, whispering, bro. Hide the remote, change the channel to a show. Sorry, Chris, we gotta take your phone. Can't have you spiral when you're all alone. Turn off the talking heads, breathe, get gone. Trump derangement syndrome. These outbursts we just can't condone. Maybe we can find you a quiet safe zone. Turn down the volume when the news gets shown. Trump derangement syndrome. Tongue in the office, pacing that floor. Practicing comebacks for a tweet from before. Every press mic ready to explode. About a man not even on a payroll. Got charts, graphs, 20-page brief. All about the commander-in-chief. Clerk in the back like for your own relief. Try some yoga, maybe touch a leaf. I'm sorry, Tari, Chris, we gotta take your phone. Give me that. Can't have you spiral when you're all alone. Turn off the talking heads, breathe, get gone. Trump derangement syndrome. Ooh, these outbursts we just can't condone. Maybe we can find you a quiet safe zone. Turn down the volume when the news gets shown. Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome. Trump derangement syndrome.
It's better than a MAGA rappers.
Group text buzzing, you good, you fine. They both send memes for the 100th time. Step away from the screen, go touch some grass. And if you see a camera, just walk past. I'm sorry, Chris, we gotta take your phone. Can't have you spiral when you're all alone. Turn off the talking heads, breathe, get gone. Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah, these outbursts we just can't condone. Maybe we can find you a quiet safe zone. Turn down the volume when the news gets shown. Trump derangement syndrome. I'm sorry, Trump, Chris, we gotta take your phone. Can't have you spiral when you're all alone. Turn off the talking heads, breathe, get gone.
That's right. From Reese on the Radio Records and Tapes. Just 99 cents get you 5. Trump derangement syndrome.
But you got to put in your credit card information.
We're not an NGO. We will make no money off of this, just so you understand.
We're doing it wrong.
That's okay. We'll make it available for you on YouTube and, of course, on ResetRadio.com if you want to share it with your friends. Trump derangement syndrome is something that we like to do sort of on Thursdays when we can to put something together that's funny, entertaining, and I don't know, just current, as it were. So we'll be doing that again. So you're going to be there at Betsy McCaughey's press conference tomorrow.
Yes.
What I want you to do when you get there, and it's very important that you do this, and I'll itemize a whole thing for you.
You're gonna make me a list.
I got to make you a list, like you send me, like when you send me to the grocery store
with pictures.
With pictures. No, I'm not going to do that. You are far more competent than I am in that realm. So what I want you to do, and this is going to be very, very important, because the announcement that she's going to make is going to not just make news, but it is going to, the Wolverines in the press are going to do something we never see at these press conferences. They will ask questions. Because I'm telling, and I know it, and she knows it too. And many of you will say to yourself, like, whoa, they never do that. They will do it when she does this. And what I want you to do is, this is the most important thing. One, I want you to note who the reporter is who asks. If you don't know who he is, wait until later, but just ask, say, hey, what was your name?
Maybe a she.
Or whatever. Hey, what was your name? And you'll already know. It's like, what was your name? What reporter are you? And they'll say, I'm, Bob John. I'm with this group. Don't get their card. You don't need any of that. Just find out who they are. But also note the question that they ask. So this is going to be paramount. like I said, I already know what she's going to say and what this will be about. What I want you to do is to turn your camera to the reporter who asked Betsy the questions, because that is going to say everything we need to know.
Right.
Right? Because and I know that you folks you're not really used to the way I do journalism here. I really inspect and view how journalism is done all around the country. I pay very close attention. You know, Roseanne always makes fun of me about the fact that I don't like to read. What's the one thing I always love to read, Roseanne?
The Room.
The news. The Room.
The Room.
The news.
The news. It's the only thing you read.
Only thing I read.
Yeah.
And I'm always curious about the way that people frame stuff. It's not so much about whether or not they're left or right or fair or unfair. It's not about that. It's the importance of how people frame things, because people do not understand the difference between exactly. They're saying stuff without saying stuff. A lot of times reporters like to editorialize. In essence, they are framing your position on the story without you noticing it.
Right.
And I've seen that. Like, one of my favorite things that I've always done in journalism is when journalists, when talking about things in science, they often use the word could, may, might. And people take that as the gospel for a thing. My favorite line is, aerosols could affect the ozone. And then people who are denunts read that and say, see, your aerosol can they affect it. Right. They think could means
does.
That it does.
It's
exactly. So when I used to get into these arguments with could,
I've seen your butt.
But it's the dumbest thing in the world.
Right, but there is a lot being said without being said. So
exactly.
When you pay attention to who CNN does it to President Trump all the time, and he's so brilliant because, like, who are you? What are you at? Because he hears the question, he hears the framing, he hears the stupidity, he hears the attempt at editorializing.
Yes.
And he's saying, wait a minute, that's not what I said.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm presenting. It's this. And so that's what you're wanting me to do is capture who's asking the question,
and
question
how
that is being asked, and then, make sure I document all of those things.
Because this is another thing.
Matters.
Dennis House, as I mentioned to Aaron Stewart when she was here, the first time she was here, and she could only stay for a little while, I played her that clip of Dennis House and him immediately asking about Donald Trump and her campaign, which is, again, I don't know if that's Dennis House being Dennis House or whether or not it was agenda-driven. Because to ask a person who's running for governor about Donald Trump's role in the election to be governor of Connecticut, it just didn't make any sense to bring it up. But the importance of that is that in the era of Donald Trump, everything is about him.
Right.
And
I
it's like
stubbed my toe. Donald Trump made corners extra sharp.
Exactly. It's like that. It's like that framework. So then Erin is put behind the 8 ball in having to explain her position under
outside
the guy. Exactly. At least with the filter of Donald Trump. So she's saying, and I told her about it. I said to her here, I said, you're not an attorney, but what I learned from Law and Order University is that, one, you never give an answer to a question you weren't asked.
Right.
It's like, well, obviously, Donald Trump does things that I wouldn't do. I'm like, no one asked you whether or not you would. No one, and don't offer that.
Right.
Don't make the reporter is making it about Donald Trump. And what I would have said to Dennis House, if he had asked me when I was running for office, as soon as he had brought Donald Trump, the first thing I would have said, Dennis House, I didn't know that you worked for Lamont. That's the first thing I would have said. I don't know. Do you work for Governor Lamont? Oh, I'm not sure what you mean. Well, why are you asking me about Donald Trump? That sounds like something Lamont would ask. Right. He would ask that on a debate stage, would make it about Donald Trump because he couldn't answer for his record. Are you covering for him? And then put him on his edge. It was like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. It was like, then why are we talking about Donald Trump in my campaign?
Right.
Donald Trump didn't endorse me. He obviously didn't give me any money.
Probably doesn't even know my name.
Probably doesn't. Probably doesn't even know what I'm
on.
But you want me to speak on his policies. That's exactly what I would have done. And you put that person on it. It's like, don't even give them the lane. In fact, what Dennis House would have done, if she had done that, he would have told the director, cut that part out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not necessary. Because, again, it doesn't look good to him. Exactly. It doesn't hurt. So then he's forced to just ask objective questions about her campaign.
Right.
Do not make it about Trump. Because again, making it about Trump means that's what the headline is.
Right. And in a deep, deep blue state like Connecticut, any affiliation,
allegedly,
appreciation, well, based on current trends, the loudest infants in the room, any contact, correlation, connection, depiction, photograph, thought that can connect you to Donald Trump is going to automatically make you Donald Trump.
Because that's what it is. And again, when you don't have, and that's another sort of obstacle that Betsy, Aaron, as well as Ryan are going to face, right? They want the maximum press availability that they could possibly get. So unfortunately, in the state of Connecticut, it's going to be a lot of left-leaning print, a lot of left-leaning TV, a lot of left-leaning everything.
And
right?
all that they want, all they need is just an inch to topple the Leaning Tower
exactly.
of Pisa.
So in that, they're going to have to go through an entire gauntlet of anti-Trump questions that you're going to have to maneuver through.
They have to separate themselves and distinguish themselves without the name of Donald Trump.
Right, because that's going to be the framework of every question.
Right, in this environment, it's almost impossible. You're a Republican, therefore you're Donald Trump. So
exactly.
Tell me how you're not Trump.
Yeah. It was like, can you be more like us? Can you be, because you're never going to make it through unless you go through the gauntlet of not being like Trump.
Exactly.
And that's why I said I would push back on every one of these people. One, do no interviews with these partisan folks. Yes, I'm talking to you, Dan Haar. Do not do interviews with these guys. And these guys want interviews. You got to look at them straight in the face and say, hey, listen, Dan, I know you're here to support Governor Lamont. I don't think that I can possibly get any fair treatment by you in a journalistic way by communicating with you. And I would say that to WFSB, I would say to TNH, I would say to Fox 61, I would say to anybody.
But you can always come here and talk to us.
Exactly. And again, look, Janine said to me the other day, it was like, if indeed Democrats decide to come on the program, there is the fact that I have to give fairness to every side that wants to come on. I'm not worried about that, to be honest with you. Here's why. They don't want to come here.
Right.
They don't.
Well, I think it's important. I like what Janine said, because it's important that in order to remain fully in service to the people of Connecticut,
Indeed.
We have to be willing to highlight both sides, right?
Exactly.
We have to be willing to present both sides without bias and without trying to gear or steer the audience in a certain direction. That's not your job. That's not my job. Our job is just to be here, take the questions, ask the questions, and present the evidence, allow the people to hear the evidence for themselves. So I think it's fair that we do have both, but you're right. They won't come here. They're scared.
Yeah, well.
You got NAACP homie that said, he said he was going to call you back. I heard him say, I'm going to call you back, man. Still waiting.
Yeah, I don't.
So, I mean.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I don't ever expect them to come
back.
Not
never.
It's a lot of tough questions out there in order for them to exist.
I'm more likely to get a phone call from my dead ex than you are to get a phone call from this NAACP guy.
Why'd you have to bring that guy up?
I'm just saying.
That's gold.
I'm just saying.
Jesus, your dead ex. Damn.
I didn't kill him. He just,
I'm out. I'm so out. I'm cutting your mic off. I love you, but no. Let's get another check of weather traffic. Mark Christopher, jeez, it's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Again, I really need BPS. I'm going to find out what law they cover. Hey, Mark.
Man, a lot of compassion there for the ex-dead husband.
I know.
Wow.
Just dead boyfriend. He's not even a husband.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dead ex.
Yeah, dead ex.
That rhymes with FedEx.
Bye. You too.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app. Search WTIC News Talk 1080 and tap earlier today to get started.
Roseanne, I want to mention something to you. You were here when
Am I still off?
No, you're on.
Okay.
When because you've only met him so far, or at least talked to him twice. I kind of want to give a shout out to him because he said something in here. Kevin, the IT guy.
Yes.
Young kid.
I like Kevin.
Who was in here. Nice guy.
He smells great, too.
Yes, he smells great, Roseanne. Goodness gracious. You're like the consummate flirt. It's like the weirdest thing. I wore cologne today. Do you know what you said to me?
I said, just why do you smell good? And then you got mad at me.
Yeah, because when other guys walk by you and they smell good, they go, you smell good.
Yeah,
I put on cologne. You looked at me and went, what are you wearing cologne for? Weird.
First of all, it's not the tone that I used.
What was it?
Tone matters. You smell good. Why
yes,
are you wearing cologne?
Questioning me. It's just
because
weird.
You never wear it.
And here's why. I wore it because you've been noticing guys wearing cologne. So I figured I would be the guy that you would be smelling.
I like sniffing you.
Anyway,
that sounds
back
weird.
to my point.
Okay, sorry.
Kevin, by the way,
yes.
who's here, he was in here, and you guys were chatting it up a little bit. He said something that I am going to have to consider. Many people don't know when I first got here that I noticed at the governor's dinner in Washington during the Biden administration that Governor Lamont was sitting right next to Gavin Newsom. And everybody knew that Gavin Newsom was going to run in 2028, not in 2024. And I said, whoa, look out for that. Gavin Newsom, Ned Lamont sitting next to each other. And Ned Lamont, you know, he is always jocking.
He's a little copycat.
Yeah, loves to jock Gavin Newsom. No matter how much of a failure, you know, it's like Gavin Newsom's trying to be just as much of a failure. I mean Ned Lamont is trying to be like, hey, I want to be just as good as you.
Hey, look what Gavin just did. Let's do it in Connecticut, too.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I said, look out for that as a ticket. But anyway, Kevin was in here and he was working on the computer. And then he said something that blew my mind because I was looking at an article that was handicapping by Larry Sabato. He's handicapping the 2028 front runners. And there's a mention of Chris Murphy, who's still in the dumps, like his 1%, but they're certain he is going to run a presidential bid in 2028. And then Kevin turned around and says, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Gavin Newsom tapped Chris Murphy as his vice presidential candidate. And I was just sitting here reading the article, and he said that. And I literally stopped in my tracks, and I looked at Kevin, and I said, oh, my God, you might be right. You may be right. That would be the whole point.
Could you imagine those two perfectly groomed, greasy looking?
But both of them are perfect. Ugh. I mean, literally, they complement each other. I mean, literally, these guys have the same sort of behavior when it comes to Donald Trump. I mean, I can see these guys French kissing each other.
Like two floating turds in a punch bowl.
Totally. Yeah. Like they are absolutely the perfect, comparing notes. You remember when I said this about Trump? Oh, I totally remember that. Do you remember this? Like they would be the perfect people. They would be the perfect people.
What are those two dogs? The old Looney Tunes commercial?
Yeah.
The big dog is walking around. He's all alpha, and there's a little dog. What are you doing now? Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's Chris Murphy.
Chris Murphy and Gavin Newsom. Why wouldn't it be?
Wow.
Newsom Murphy.
Ren and Stimpy.
2020. Ren and Stimpy. But when he said it, I just, literally my eyes blew up and I went, holy crap, that would be perfect.
Beavis and Butthead 2028.
There you go.
That's the run.
Right there. The blonde hair with the, yep.
Fire. Right? Fire. California's on fire. Fire.
What? Mark Christopher, he's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Wow, that's a pretty good impression there, Rosie.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark.
I am Cornholio. Whoa.
You're
TV for my bunghole.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
By the way, I want to make this abundantly clear. The weather storm that's coming in at the end of the week is not called Fern. I knew it. It's called Benjamin. I knew it.
I was just going off what Grok told me.
Yeah, it's Benjamin.
Grok is a freaking liar.
WFSB says it. And I saw it, and I was just going, I know I saw that earlier today. They're calling it after the snow from Winter Storm Benjamin ends on Monday. We should see at least partial clearing during the afternoon hours. So that's what it's called, Winter Storm Benjamin.
I'll be in Virginia, by the way, which they're calling for anywhere from 6 to 20 inches of snow.
Yeah.
While I'm there.
They better be right, because, Virginia has not had a snow in a while.
The last good snow I remember was 2011 or
something like that.
12.
Yeah.
And before that was Snowmageddon in 2009.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, love it. Believes, Bevis and Butthead for president and vice presidential candidate.
That's
Susan writes. She loves that. Teresa says, laugh out loud, Roseanne, you are hysterical. Carmela says, okay, if I was driving during that little bit you did, sorry. She said, if I were driving, I would have had to pull over with Roseanne's comment, I didn't kill him, talking about your ex-boyfriend. Instead, I choked on my water and might have spilt a little on the floor.
Sorry.
Lori Maz says, Roseanne has me laughing, fire. But, of course, you were over the top today. That Beavis and Butthead thing was actually kind of good. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. It's fire.
Shh. Stop.
Do I need licensing for that too?
Maybe. I'm just saying there may be. There, exactly. It's just I hate to think about the two of them, but I will be honest.
Could you imagine?
I want it now. Yeah, I hope Kevin is right.
Gosh.
But it seemed when he said it, my eyes lit up because everyone's saying that Gavin Newsom is clearly the guy who's going to run in 2028. They believe he could be great against J.D. Vance.
I can totally see him running, but that ticket really sounds like it has to have really corny, cheesy music at the very beginning of it, and it's a lot of shirtless ambiguity. A lot of long gazes into each other's eyes while they compliment one another and fix each other's hair.
I will tell you right off the bat. I got to hear, first of all, the name Newsom Murphy is not a bad campaign poster. They're not, I look at Clinton Kane.
But who's going to get the bigger head on the, whose head is going to be bigger on the poster?
Can I tell you what's weird? A lot of people, no one paid attention to this because speaking of campaigns, right? I knew that Trump was thinking when he did this because he had Trump Pence. Now, I'll admit, when I first heard it, I went, Trump Pence, I'm like, it's okay. I mean, it wasn't great. It just didn't flow to me. But it did not flow. It just didn't have a certain flow. And then he does it again, is in essence with Trump Vance. Real? It's like,
he was almost there the first time. But
right.
He's not an oracle. He can't see into the future.
Yeah.
He almost had the right name.
But a guy is a marketing, look, it's Donald Trump. Is he a marketing maven? Of course
Absolutely.
He is, without a doubt. So, but then I'm looking at the rest of it. Clinton Kane was like, okay, a little bit, when she ran with Tim Kaine, in Virginia. And I was like, okay, it's all right, but it didn't just have a lot of, Clinton Gore did not work for me. But, Bush Cheney didn't work for me. But Reagan Bush worked for me. It worked. It just does, and it looks good.
Oh, Biden.
That wasn't good.
No.
Obama-Biden only worked because it really didn't need Biden.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like he was sort of like just there.
And it's interesting how the just there had his own just there, and it got worse. Like, did you know it could get worse?
Do you know what people kept failing?
But then she had walls and proved it could get worse.
Yeah, it could.
But I apologize.
But no, I was going to say, do you know what's an interesting part about, like, people always talked about two things in politics during the Obama years, the Obama-Biden years, and beyond that, and of course, the Trump relationship with Barack Obama. And I talked about this a little in a Substack I wrote. By the way, check out my Substack. Go to ReeseOnRadio.com in order to read it. But I wrote this and I said, it's always been Trump versus Obama, even when they weren't running against each other in 2016. Because essentially, running against Clinton is an extension of the Obama campaign, right? That's all it is, the Obama presidency. And that's what it is. And that's the reason why Trump ran so hard on Obama's record, which made sense. But the reason why Obama had such an axe to grind with Donald Trump and still continues to is because Donald Trump came out of the woodwork and did that whole thing about his birth certificate.
Right.
And when everyone else was writing Trump off, Trump did not relent. He made him release that thing. And that bothered Obama because Obama always got cover from the press and Trump didn't care because Trump's name was bigger than Obama. Even though he was being praised and loved and adored, Trump was still Trump. He sucked all the oxygen out of the room. I didn't care about the new black candidate. Nobody did when Trump was in the room because Trump is Trump. He transcends all that other nonsense, that sort of fabricated, astroturf of a campaign to uplift, Barack Obama. So that was always the issue, which brings me to the Biden issue. Because people said, well, wait a minute. Biden was Obama's running mate, was also his vice president. What do you mean that the two of them did not get along? And I said, look at the history. Biden had been in office since the 70s. He made He had made two very unsuccessful bids to become president. The guy thought he was the heir apparent because he had served his country in office for so many years. How could this upstart, who essentially only spent 180 days present as a senator in Illinois, be the front runner? How could this guy have 8 million votes by the time of the convention and me, Joe Biden, the guy who everybody knew I've written legislation in this damn town, I only got 19,000 votes. So there was always that animus that was, how does Barack Obama have more recognition than me? Because Biden is not Trump.
Right.
Biden is Biden.
You had said something about, there was a conversation about it's not a popularity contest. And the fact of the matter is, anytime you run for anything, it is a popularity contest. Not in the high school sense where, oh my God, did you see our shoes?
Yeah, it's not Gail Roberts.
But in the sense of everybody, everybody knows your name. They understand where you came. They may not know what you stand for.
Right.
But they know the name. You can be a Kennedy.
Right.
Right? Like the birdcage, the Kennedys are here.
Yeah.
They want us to comp their meal. The young ones are the old ones. The young ones. Give them coffee. Right? The name speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Donald Trump didn't need to make a name for himself.
It's already there.
He grew organically. Donald Trump's name was in everybody's mouth since the 80s. My mother,
100% name recognition from the moment he ran.
My mother loved Donald Trump in the 80s. All I heard was, the Donald, ooh, the Don. She loved Donald Trump. How does she feel about him now? But all he had to do was show up into a room, and there are very few people in this world that can do that, where you walk into a room and you automatically just command attention for no reason other than you just walked in a room. You've not said anything. You've not done anything. You haven't even broken wind. You just showed up, and suddenly everybody's eyes are on you. And then there's the guy who's in the background who is the same color as wall paint, right? The same color as the wall, begging for attention, screaming and shouting and banging pots together.
Right.
Nobody cares about that
Gavin
guy.
Newsom experienced that in Davos.
That was Biden compared to Donald Trump. Now, yes, that's Gavin Newsom. That is Chris Murphy. Look at me. I'm pretty, too. I keep saying it.
Yeah.
We're pretty, too. I got it. You're pretty. That's great. Nobody knows anything about you. Nobody even cares. You've got Donald Trump here.
You know what it's like?
I'll
tell you what it's like. It's like forgetting I'll put it this way. It's like remembering the guy that Mike Tyson knocked out in 86.
No idea.
Exactly. It's like you don't remember. In fact, when you see the names, you go, oh, yeah, I remember that guy.
That's the one I think we bought the pay-per-view game. We were living in Hawaii, right? We bought the pay-per-view
Was it 80,
fight.
what, 88?
I
The one he lost?
89 to 92. It was 89 to 92. Somewhere in that time frame, there was a fight. We bought it the pay-per-view. My dad had to go to the store to buy ice. He gets back, the fight was already over.
Oh, that was Spinks. That was before the fateful day in 88. Yeah. That was the Michael Spinks in 91 seconds.
Yeah, no idea who that guy is.
We totally hit. Well, I know who that guy is because I follow boxing. But again, that was probably the most famous.
That's
but there
Gavin Newsom.
There were a whole. Well, that's usually the opponents of people who are fighting against Donald Trump anyway. It's like they are getting their name recognition. Having been in the ring with the guy who usually knocks them out, right? So you only have that sort of recognition in the moment that you're fighting him.
The guy with the ear,
Mayweather.
Mayweather.
No, not Mayweather. Sorry, Evander Holyfield.
Holyfield.
Yeah.
Of course, he's his own name, right? But nobody boxing, not really my jam. I like boxing. I like violence, right? But not really my jam. I don't know names,
yes.
But I know the name Holyfield, and I know the ear. Why? Because Mike Tyson bit his ear off.
Right, exactly.
Again, that is all of these other people standing next to Donald Trump.
Very true.
He bit your ear off. That's the only reason
and in
anyone
fact,
knows your name.
I will even go so far as to say, in the grand scheme of things, if we make that sort of analogy, if you will, sort of Mike Tyson and Vander Holyfield, I couldn't even put Gavin Newsom in that realm, and here's why. It's because Gavin's never going to have to face Donald Trump in 2028, which is, again, why would you be a rival with the guy who's already in the position and you have no chance to fight?
He's a spectator in the audience throwing popcorn at the champ.
That's pretty much it.
That's what he is.
That's it.
Yeah.
And forgetting that...
And it's so cute.
But he keeps forgetting that with the popcorn that he throws at the champ, to mock him is going to eat the popcorn. You know, it's like
he absorbs it. And it gives him power.
Just says, just like, oh, thanks for the meal. That's again. This is sort of the reason why I was making a reference about William Tong and about Chris Murphy.
Little Willie Tong.
Is that Little Willie Tong? That their role is not to combat Donald Trump. That is not their role. It is to use the essence of Donald Trump to promote their name by saying, "Look at all of these people who are challenging him, hoping." You know, it's sort of like Jack Smith. What happened to Jack Smith and Fannie Willis? A perfect example. Fannie Willis gets articles written about her because she's the woman who's going to prosecute Donald Trump, so she gets put on this pedestal, if you will. Same thing with what was her name? Abrams, the woman in Alabama, the heavyset,
I don't know,
a black
and
woman.
Letitia James.
Yeah,
all
Letitia James, right?
All the black ladies.
Right.
As a strong black woman,
right? So they get
gotta
this.
Write about her. Oh, that white dude. Mm.
So they get all of this sort of recognition because they're the ones who are going after Trump. They're throwing. What's her name? Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett. What is she? She's being ascended to a higher sort of level because she says rude and vicious things about Donald Trump. But again, it never lands. They're trying to prop her up with a false premise. She's never going to. If she were ever in a room with Donald Trump, he would annihilate her.
Crumble. This is what it sounds like. I can say Trump, too. Look how many times I can say Trump. Trump.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I'm going to say it fancy. Trumpity, Trump. You know what I mean? That's all they're doing is whoever says his name more, like you get more points, and that elevates you to the next level.
Because the news media is going to say, "Oh, look at the news media will say, hey, look at this person. They're criticizing Trump. Let's give them a platform."
Right.
And the sad part about it is that it eventually dies out. They're just like, when you call them again, and you're just like, hey, I'm talking about Trump. And after a while, they just go, yeah, but you kind of did that already.
We heard it already. Who's the little Indian guy that's introducing articles of impeachment? Looks like a little Indian troll doll.
I can't say his name, but he is some Sri
Lanka?
Sri Lanka.
Whatever. Listen. I don't know. I don't care what that guy's politics are. I just want him on TV because he is so funny. Like, there's no way that's a real person. Like, that hair. His hair, it doesn't even look real. Is that a wig? It's not a wig because I don't know if I just want to see him on TV. I want to see him talk and say words because he is absolutely comedic. He's hilarious. Sri.
Do you think he gets his hair cut at the same place as Dennis House?
I think he goes
I'm
in
kidding,
the closet.
Dennis. I'm kidding.
He goes in the closet and he pulls out his wig every morning. I'm convinced.
Do you think he wears a wig?
Oh my God, that hair! He's never cut that hair.
Never.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen it look any different. It's always the same hairstyle every day. It's like Justin Bieber, circa 2010. Or whenever he came out.
We gotta
But
go.
it's like windblown.
We gotta go. All right.
Haircut.
Roseanne will be tomorrow at the City Hall for Betsy McCaughey's press conference. You do not want to miss what her announcement is tomorrow. It is a big deal. As I always say, radio is free, so we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your mind. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. She is Roseanne on the radio. Say goodnight, Roseanne.
Good night, Roseanne.
We will see you mañana. Holla, holla, pop your collar. Be good to each other. Mark Christopher is getting you home. He's in the BPS.
I'm not an unreasonable man, but I say there's nothing wrong with you little monsters that can't be cured by a quick return to the days of corporal punishment.
Right.
That's going to be their name now, Mark. They're going to be Beavis and Butthead if they run together. That's it.
That would be tremendous. That means I could play Beavis and Butthead cuts every afternoon.